Chapter 1. 300 years ago the wind was hot, and the sun was like fire. The Black Dragon Empire, in the northwest, there was a mountain range called the Fire Cloud Mountain Range. It was famous because of the 5 huge volcanoes. Above the 5 huge volcanoes, the air was distorted. Looking down from the volcanoes, there was a lush forest with layers upon layers of mountains. The roars of demonic beasts were incessant. In the forest there was a winding path. It was like a small river crossing the entire mountain range and connecting the 5 big mountains. The end of the path was already in the outer layer of the mountain range. Although it was the outer layer, it was rarely visited. Even some good hunters didn't dare to stop here because there were huge demonic beasts running amok here. Under the swaying shadows of the trees, there were more than 10 young men and women wearing luxurious clothes and holding long swords. They were walking on the winding path. Among them, the oldest was only about 20 years old. The youngest was a young girl, only 14 or 15 years old. The young girl was young, but her development was already good. Although her milky white dress wasn't stunning, it was still lovely and moving. However, she was carrying a man about the same age as her on her back. The man's face was purple, and sometimes he would even tremble. It was obvious that he was deeply poisoned. The situation of a teenage girl carrying a man of the same age could be imagined. Every step was incomparably difficult, leaving deep footprints on the ground full of withered branches and rotten leaves. Her white dress was also faintly stained with sweat and dirt everywhere. "Brother Long Chen, you mustn't die. Next year is our big day." The young girl was struggling to move forward, and she was at the back of the group. She kept muttering, and her young face was filled with worry. "Qing Xian, why don't you just leave him here? He was poisoned by a snake. When we get to the Immortal's Cave and get the inheritance, we'll come back to save him." An elegant young man holding a feather fan said indifferently. His eyes were fixed on the girl's exposed white neck. The girl called Qing Xian shook her head and said, "You are the young master of the Li family. Long Chen is my fiancé. He is also the young master of the Long family in Iron Mountain City. Young Master Li, don't say too much." Seeing the group walking further and further away, the woman subconsciously took 2 steps back, neither servile nor overbearing, as if she was reminding the young master of the Li family. Refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. You're just an orphan adopted by the Dragon Clan, so why insist on following that piece of trash? Today, the purple mist has sealed off the mountains, interrupting the trials of various clans, and purple light has appeared within the 5 volcanoes. Without a doubt, this is an Immortal's Cave. Why don't you leave the Li clan and follow me? In the future, the Li clan will definitely have a place for you. Li Tianjian's smile faded, and his eyes shone with an earnest light. The woman's expression changed greatly. Just as she was about to dodge, the man named Long Chen behind her suddenly shouted. His purple face was filled with madness, which was extremely terrifying. This loud roar caused Li Tian to subconsciously take 2 steps back, and his eyes could not help but flash with a hint of killing intent. Iron Mountain City's 4 great clans were divided, and among them, the Long clan was the leader. They owned nearly 40% of Iron Mountain City's industries. Although Long Chen was a child of the Long clan, his cultivation level was ridiculously low. He was 15 years old, but he was only at the 1st level of the mortal martial realm. Otherwise, today's trials would not only have 1 woman willing to follow him. The group of people in front, who had originally gone far away, after hearing the roar, quickly ran back. Long Chen, who had just woken up from his coma, sat cross-legged on the ground with a confused expression. His eyebrows were tightly knitted, and Qing Xian was in front of him to protect him. "What's going on? Didn't I die? Where is this?" Long Chen stared at his own hands, and his mouth muttered to himself in an inaudible voice. When Li Tian saw that Long Chen had woken up, his face suddenly turned ashen. He looked at the few people behind him, and they all had a look of disbelief. When Li Tian and Long Chen were traveling together, he deliberately lured the purple striped snake to attack Long Chen. The reason was that he had taken a fancy to Qing Xian, this beauty. After all, Long Chen was the young master of the Long clan. If people knew that he had plotted to kill him, it would be troublesome. Hey Long Chen, the purple color on your face is slightly lighter. Is the snake venom starting to dissipate? Are you confused? This is the Fire Cloud Mountain Range. A slightly fat man stared at Long Chen and said in surprise. However, his words made Long Chen's whole body tremble. His mind was shaken, and it was as if thunder had exploded. Snake venom? Fire Cloud Mountain Range. That was Qing Xian? In the end, what was going on? This was a dream. Long Chen's eyes were blank. His eyes swept across the people around him, and a trace of joy slowly appeared on his face. Finally, he suddenly stood up and laughed loudly. His laughter was wild until a trace of tears appeared in the corner of his eyes. Long Chen was the youngest ruler of the Dragon Realm in the 10 Directions celestial domain. He had worked hard all his life to reverse reincarnation and resurrect his lost loved ones. Under the guidance of his master, he had found the legendary sacred object, the chaotic golden book. His master was known to have transcended the rulers and was the #1 hidden expert in the 10,000 domains. However, he had never imagined that his master, whom he respected like a god, would join forces with the other rulers to destroy the firmament godly kingdom that he had built single-handedly. They wanted to wipe out everything related to him, destroy his Taoist heart, and steal the chaotic golden book. It was not until his death that he realized everything. It turned out that the divination of fate saw that Long Chen had the potential to become a great emperor. It was said that to become the only person in the world who could break through the rulers and become a great emperor, one must have the chaotic golden book. Under the siege of the 10 rulers and this old monster who had lived for tens of thousands of years, he swallowed the chaotic golden book and self-destructed. When he opened his eyes again, he was already here. Rebirth. He, the ruler of the Dragon Realm, had been reborn with the chaotic golden book. It seems that you didn't lie to me completely. The chaotic golden book really can reverse reincarnation. 300 years ago I returned to 300 years ago. In this life I will erase all my regret. I was able to step into the ruler realm in my previous life, and I can do the same in this life. Divination of fate, you better wash your neck and wait. Long Chen sighed, but his voice was getting colder and colder. That's enough, Long Chen. Are you crazy? This is the Fire Cloud Mountains. Do you want to attract the demonic beasts? Now that all the major families are isolated by the strange purple mist, we must go to the Immortals' abode if we want to leave. You are already a burden to us. Do you want to harm us? Li Tian looked at Long Chen, who was laughing and laughing. The Fire Cloud Mountains, the Immortals' abode. Li Tian? Long Chen's eyes suddenly flashed. When he saw the person's face, the corner of his mouth revealed a trace of murderous intent. More than 300 years had passed, but he remembered what happened today clearly. Today was the day his childhood sweetheart fiancée died a violent death. It was also the reason why the Long family was exterminated, and all of this was because of Li Tian. Li Tian coveted Qing Xian's beauty. When they were traveling together, he deliberately attracted a purple snake to sneak attack Long Chen. But because of his special constitution, Long Chen did not die. However, this made his body, which was originally slow to cultivate, more and more unbearable. He directly became a cripple with broken tendons and meridians. This caused him to be banished from the Long family as the young master of the Long family. He was looked down upon by everyone until his parents died and his family was exterminated. On the way to escape, he met an alchemist and was able to cultivate again in the Immortals' abode. Li Tian forcibly took Qing Xian and killed her in front of Long Chen. He took the Immortals' inheritance in the abode. Fortunately, after the Immortals' abode was taken, The thick fog dissipated and the major families arrived in time. Perhaps Long Chen could not escape death. Only Long Chen saw what Li Tian did with his own eyes. But the Long family was not willing to start a war with the Li family for an orphan they picked up. After that, Long Chen spent every day in hatred. He wanted to kill Li Tian all the time until he really awakened his emperor's body. At that time, he realized that he was not a cripple with a slow cultivation speed. It was an illusion that his body was too strong and his martial arts were too low level. No one knew what Li Tian had obtained. They only knew that the Li family had appeared out of nowhere during the tournament of the three cities and led the Li family to sweep Iron Mountain City. After that, like a comet, he had entered the 5 great sects and became a peerless genius. Even in the previous life, Long Chen could only take revenge when he became the ruler. The 5 great sects were very mysterious in the eyes of the world. They were beyond the empires. The 5 great sects participated in the selection of the crown prince of each empire. Including the Black Dragon Empire, all the cultivation resources of the 9 great empires were controlled by the 5 great sects. It could be said that if one wanted to have achievements in cultivation, one must enter the 5 great sects. Even though Long Chen in the previous life had awakened his emperor's body, he had no choice but to enter one of the 5 great sects, the Wanjian sect. For a moment, Long Chen's thoughts surged like a tide. His fists were still tightly clenched, and his fingertips were deeply sunken. "Let's go, I'm fine." Long Chen breathed a sigh of relief and calmed his mind. Li Tian raised his eyebrows. His right hand slowly released the sword at his waist. He looked at Long Chen meaningfully and said, "Let's go, we must reach the Immortals' abode before noon." Everyone was a little confused. However, Li Tian was currently at the 3rd level of the mortal martial realm. A single punch of his could explode with 300 jin of strength. No one dared to disobey him. The practitioners of the Shenwu continent were like carps crossing the river. Everyone could cultivate martial arts. The martial arts were divided into the mortal martial realm, the spiritual martial realm, the soul transformation realm, and so on. The mortal martial realm trained one's strength and tempered one's body. Once one stepped into the spiritual martial realm, there would be a qualitative leap. One would be able to generate their own true qi, open their chakras, and evolve the strength of dragons and elephants. However, even if all the elders of the Iron Mountain City were added together, there would be no more than 100 people in the spiritual martial realm. The most important reason was the lack of resources. The 5 great sects controlled dozens of empires, including the Black Dragon Empire. They controlled the resources within a radius of 1,000,000 li. There were very few resources in the outside world. Every once in a while, the 5 great sects would compete to recruit talents from various empires and distribute their resources. Therefore, most of the strong practitioners belonged to the 5 great sects. Qing Xian walked to Long Chen's side and said with concern, "Brother Long Chen, that Li Tian is vicious. Now that your snake venom has weakened, why don't we go back to the edge and wait for the purple mist to disperse?" Long Chen stared at the pure and beautiful Qing Xian in front of him. He couldn't help but hug her. Feeling the warmth in his arms, a cold light flashed in his eyes. He said coldly, "In this life, I won't allow anything to happen to you. I will tear those who hurt you into pieces." Qing Xian felt Long Chen's anger and the warmth of his body. Her face flushed red, but she didn't break free. She asked doubtfully, "Why this life?" "Young master, your divine sense is in disorder. Let's leave early." "No, just follow behind me. Today, not only will I avenge you, but I will also obtain the inheritance of the Immortals' Cave." Long Chen muttered to himself as he stared at Li Tian, who was gradually disappearing into the distance. After he finished speaking, his hands continuously moved in front of his chest. Immediately after, he spat out a mouthful of purplish-black pus. As the pus spurted out, his face immediately regained some color. However, the faint purple color didn't disappear. Qing Xian didn't know what Long Chen wanted to do. She thought that he was angry because Li Tian had taken advantage of her. Seeing that Long Chen insisted, she had no choice but to hold on to Long Chen's arm and follow behind him. "Brother Li, what's going on? Why did Long Chen suddenly wake up? His complexion also seems to be better," a follower whispered in Li Tian's ear. As he spoke, he occasionally glanced back at Long Chen. Chapter 2. Day of Opportunity. In the Fire Cloud Mountain Range, more than 10 people walked along the path. The surrounding sunlight was faintly tinged with a purple glow, and everyone's face was filled with excitement. In front of the volcano, there is a purple light mountain gate. That must be the entrance to the Immortals' Cave, a tall woman shouted excitedly. Hearing this, everyone suddenly sped up. Instead, Li Tian, who was walking at the front, retreated. "After my rebirth, all my strength has disappeared, but my sea of consciousness has not changed. Instead, it has become even more powerful. There is also a mysterious area. After dealing with Li Tian, I must carefully investigate it." Long Chen relied on his powerful divine sense to completely see through Li Tian's actions, but he did not care at all. Not long after, a beast's roar was suddenly heard. Roar. A huge leopard demon beast with a body of scales and a height of several meters suddenly roared. It jumped from the side of the bush and directly bit off the tall woman's throat. Blood dripped down. The woman did not even let out a scream before she fell into a pool of blood. The demon beast's bell-like eyes were bloodshot as it stared at the crowd, drooling. This is a silver-armored leopard, which is equivalent to the 4th level of the mortal martial realm. What should we do? After the Immortals' Cave opened, all the demon beasts crawled on the ground. After walking for so long, the surrounding demon beasts did not attack. Why did a demon beast suddenly appear? The Immortals' Cave is in front of us. We must work together to eliminate it. More than 10 people looked nervous as they confronted the silver-armored leopard, but no one dared to step forward. Among the people present, the highest cultivation was Li Tian, but he was only at the peak of the 3rd level of the mortal martial realm. If he did not make a move, naturally no one dared to make a move. "Long Chen, I see that your complexion is ruddy. The snake venom should have dissipated long ago. This silver-armored leopard should not be your opponent. We do not need to make a move." At this time, Li Tian stood up, but he did not intend to make a move. Instead, he looked at Long Chen. Everyone looked at Long Chen in surprise. In Iron Mountain City, Long Chen was famous. At the age of 15, he was only at the 1st level of the mortal martial realm. He was far inferior to his peers. If they let him fight, wouldn't that be courting death? Li Tian wanted to borrow the demon beast's hand to kill Long Chen. Now that Li Tian's cultivation was the highest, everyone was somewhat afraid of him. No one was willing to get involved. "Long Chen, once your snake venom dissipates, hurry up and attack. The Immortals' Cave is right before us." "Yes, you are the Long family's young master. Hurry up and attack." The few people behind Li Tian immediately became noisy, and the demonic beasts not far away were already restless. Seeing this scene, Qing Xian was instantly enraged. She stood in front of Long Chen and shouted, "My young master just got better, and you want him to fight the demonic beasts? Moreover, this is equivalent to a mortal stage level 4 demonic beast. You're trying to kill my young master. How dare you? Who do you think you are? You have no right to speak here." Li Tian's face suddenly darkened, and he shouted loudly. At this time, Long Chen gently squeezed Qing Xian's hand and pulled her behind him. He looked at the demon beast slowly walking toward them and said lightly, "Who is she? I am the Long family's young master, so I am the Long family's young mistress. Who do you think you are? How dare you talk to her like that?" When these words came out, suddenly everyone was silent. Li Tian's face was green and red. Everyone knew that although Li Tian's strength was good, he was not a direct descendant. He was the illegitimate son of the Li family's young master and a prostitute. He had 2 older brothers. Li family's 2 older brothers were strong enough to be ranked in the top 10 of Iron Mountain City's younger generation. They doted on him very much, so few people dared to mention this. Although Long Chen's voice was not loud, everyone heard it clearly. Li Tian's body was trembling with anger. Roar! At this time, the silver-armored demon beast's eyes became more bloody, and it suddenly tried to attack. Young Master Long, do you only know how to talk? Do you dare to kill this demon beast with me? Li Tian's eyes narrowed and he asked coldly. Long Chen nodded when he heard this. There was a smile at the corner of his mouth as he replied, "Why wouldn't I dare? Young master, you can't. This demon beast is not something you can deal with." Qing Xian hurriedly tried to stop Long Chen, but 2 disciples of the Li family jumped out and stopped her. They sneered and said, "Your young master wants to show off his power. Why are you stopping him?" Ha ha! Roar! Seeing Li Tian and Long Chen walk over, the somewhat deranged silver-armored demonic beast couldn't help but charge forward. A playful smile appeared on Li Tian's face as he mocked. The young master of the Long family died in the hands of a demonic beast. As he spoke, his right hand moved and he pulled out a long sword from his waist and rushed forward. Long Chen acted as if he did not hear his words. His eyes were as calm as water. If he, a dominator, was killed by a mortal level 3 or 4 demon beast, it would be the biggest joke in the world. Boom! The long sword struck the demonic beast's scales, and the sound of metal clashing rang out. Li Tian took advantage of the momentum and leaped up, flipping over the demonic beast's head. His feet landed heavily on the demonic beast's huge back. The demon beast strenuously rushed towards Long Chen like a small mountain. This scene made everyone's hearts tighten. Long Chen was only a few meters away from the demon beast. If he lost his weapon earlier, he would lose his life under this attack. Qing Xian's expression changed and he hurriedly threw the long sword at Long Chen. "Young master, take this." Li Tian sneered and the scabbard in his hand shot towards the demon beast's left shoulder at an extremely fast speed. Poochie! The scabbard bounced back and coincidentally blocked Qing Xian's long sword. Both fell to the ground. Shameless! Li Tian, if my young master dies here, the Li family will not be able to protect you. Qing Xian's handsome face was filled with anger and he was about to rush out. However, a Li family disciple suddenly appeared beside him and stopped him. He could not break free. If the Long family's young master dies in the hands of a demon beast, what does it have to do with me? Everyone here can testify that I, Li Tian, did not kill him. Li Tian shouted from behind the demon beast. As he spoke, his eyes fiercely swept across the crowd. The threat was self-evident. It was obvious that Long Chen's words had completely enraged him and made him a little crazy. Roar! Seeing the demon beast's huge claws about to tear Long Chen apart, the people present could already see the bloody scene of intestines and stomach being torn apart. Some people could not help but quickly step back. These people were all young disciples of the major families in Iron Mountain City. Few of them had truly experienced a life-and-death battle. Originally, today's trial was a day for the disciples of the major families to see blood. However, because of the inexplicable appearance of the Immortals' Cave, they could not help but reject the bloody scene that was about to happen. What's going on? How did Long Chen disappear? Where is he? Could he have been eaten? He's only at the first level of the mortal martial realm and doesn't even have a weapon. He can only blame himself for offending Li Tian. No, he's above. What is he doing with a branch in his hand? The bloody scene that was originally expected to happen did not happen. Li Tian, who was behind the demon beast, was stunned. Soon after, he sneered and said, "It's really funny. Could it be that he wants to use a branch to kill a demon beast at the 4th level of the mortal martial realm?" However, his voice abruptly stopped. They saw Long Chen step on the ground and jump a few meters into the air. His feet seemed to be leisurely and agile. The long branch in his hand spun even faster, creating a whirlwind from the front of the branch. This scene made everyone stare with wide eyes. Poochie! The long branch forcibly pierced the demon beast's head and directly penetrated it. Blood dripped out. A demon beast at the 4th level of the mortal martial realm had its head pierced by a branch. At this moment, the surroundings were completely silent. Following that, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air and looked at Long Chen in disbelief. "Young master, how did you do it? Am I dreaming? Is this still the trash from the Long family who cultivates at the speed of a turtle? That's only a branch, how could it pierce through the silver armor? How is this possible? This silver-armored vicious leopard's defense can't even be broken through by the fine iron sword in my hand. How could a branch kill it?" Li Tian stood in the distance and was completely stunned. It must be the old man from the Long family who sent him some kind of special secret skill for this trial. Otherwise, how could a first level of the mortal martial realm do it? Long Chen stood on the head of the demonic beast. Blood kept dripping from a branch in his hand. His face was also stained with blood. However, his expression was very calm. He was so calm that he didn't seem like a teenager at all. For some reason, this scene made everyone shudder. His eyes gradually fell on Li Tian. Li Tian suddenly felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave. Da-da. Long Chen slowly walked towards Li Tian. Seeing Long Chen approaching, Li Tian's eyes suddenly became hazy. The long sword in his hand suddenly shot out. A cold light directly swept towards Long Chen's neck. "Want to kill me? Unfortunately, you can't do it." Long Chen's mouth revealed a cold smile. His body casually moved, but every time Li Tian's sword fell, he was able to dodge. Relying on his powerful divine sense, even though Li Tian madly attacked with his sword, he couldn't even touch the corner of Long Chen's clothes. What the hell is going on? At this moment, Li Tian looked as if he had seen a ghost. His face was full of panic and a deep sense of powerlessness surrounded him. The surrounding people were completely dumbfounded. This scene was like an adult playing with a 3-year-old child. No matter how Li Tian attacked, he couldn't touch Long Chen. Was he really the trash that everyone was talking about? Pung! Long Chen finally got tired of playing. With a sneer, he kicked Li Tian's back. Li Tian's whole body was like a sandbag and was heavily thrown into the air. He left 2 deep bloodstains on the ground. Long Chen followed closely behind. He stepped on Li Tian's chest and gently placed the branch on his throat. It was just a branch, but it made everyone feel a biting cold, killing intent. "Spare my life, young Master Long, spare my life." Seeing Long Chen's great power, the 2 Li family disciples who were originally following Li Tian quickly rushed forward to beg for mercy. They were afraid that Long Chen would directly kill them. "Long Chen, you and I don't have any life or death grudges. Now that the Immortal's Cave is in front of us, we should work together. Don't be rash." Even Li Tian was frightened by Long Chen's cold eyes and the powerful aura that erupted from Long Chen. He was afraid that Long Chen would really kill him. He threw the branch to the side. His right hand was actually filled with blood and swollen. This move was a king-rank martial skill that he had practiced for decades in his previous life, the Imperial Wind Sword technique. With his current physique, the power was not even 100%. Even so, his right hand was almost crippled. Martial skills were divided into mortal rank, spirit rank, king rank, and so on. There was not a single king rank martial skill book in the entire Iron Mountain City. Only people from the 5 major sects were qualified to practice it. Long Chen stared at Li Tian. His eyes flashed with killing intent. After a moment, he suddenly laughed. Killing him like this was too easy for him. In his previous life, when Long Chen had become a sovereign, he had slashed Li Tian a total of 3,700 times and wiped out the entire Li family. In this life, he didn't want Li Tian to die so easily. He wanted to shatter Li Tian's hopes the moment he obtained the inheritance. He wanted Li Tian to die in agony. Moreover, without him, the inheritance would not be so easy to obtain. This immortal's cave was the inheritance left behind by the Li family's ancestor. When Li Tian was 10 years old, he found a piece of beast skin in the body of a demonic beast. He knew the secret of this immortal's cave. For today, he had been preparing for several years. He did not even reveal it to anyone in his family. Today was the day that he, Li Tian, would obtain his opportunity. All of this information was obtained by Long Chen when he killed Li Tian in his previous life. Today, he wanted Li Tian to become his stepping stone. He wanted Li Tian to lose everything at the last moment. He wanted him to die in the most painful moment. Long Chen was not a bloodthirsty person. However, his hatred for Li Tian had long been ingrained in his bones. In his previous life, Li Tian had humiliated Qing Xian and killed her. Later on, he had joined forces with other families to destroy the Long family, causing the death of both his parents. Only Long Chen dragged out an ignoble existence and lived for revenge. His hatred for Li Tian was irreconcilable. Seeing Long Chen put down the branch in his hand, everyone let out a sigh of relief. They walked forward and said, "Everyone, let's not hurt each other. Let's go. The Immortal's Cave is right in front of us." Chapter 3. Slaying all enemies under the heavens above the door of purple light, rays of light circulated endlessly, and dense spiritual energy surged out. Everyone entered in a single file. Since this Immortal's Cave had caused such a huge commotion, there had to be unimaginable benefits inside. When they saw the scene in front of them, everyone was stunned. Long Chen could not help but feel inexplicably shocked as well. In front of them was an ancient path filled with the vicissitudes of life. Purple lightning danced on both sides of the path, emitting a tyrannical aura. Countless mysterious patterns flickered on the ground, and there was a purple lightning screen every 100 meters on the ancient path. In his previous life, when he had entered, Li Tian had personally killed everyone. At that time, he had already obtained the inheritance, and the scene in front of him was completely different. At the end of the path, there was an azure flame that danced endlessly on the right, and not far from the left was an illusory purple-gold book. Beneath the azure flame and the purple-gold book, there were cultivation techniques and martial techniques everywhere, as well as hundreds of spirit herbs. Just the fragrance alone was enough to make one feel refreshed, and it was obvious that the quality of these herbs was not low. These cultivation techniques and pills are enough to allow the major families of Iron Mountain City to rise and create soul formation powerhouses. There are formations everywhere, and the azure flame is surrounded by formation patterns. There is no doubt that this is an inheritance of formations. I'm afraid that even a soul formation powerhouse would not be able to create such a scene. Your Li family has always been known for its formations and pills. Li Tian, take a look at these formations and see how we can pass through them. The ancient path in front of them was clearly engraved with some kind of strange formation. The Li family had been able to gain a foothold in the vast Iron Mountain City because of their small achievements in alchemy and formations. Long Chen closed his eyes and relied on his powerful divine sense to investigate this place. After a moment, he suddenly opened his eyes, and they flashed with a bright light. There was even a hint of excitement. This was an inheritance of formations and alchemy. It was no wonder that Li Tian had been able to achieve so much in his previous life with his aptitude. On Shenwu continent, the strong were revered. Alchemy and formations were easy to understand but difficult to master. Formation grandmasters were especially rare, and they had declined tens of thousands of years ago. The Li family's ancestors actually had a formation grandmaster and alchemy grandmaster who were close to the ruler level. This was simply inconceivable. This is the ancient path sky patrolling formation, and there are even blood essence formations set up around it. I'm afraid that only people with the Li family's bloodline can activate it. This inheritance is really set up for the Li family. If I'm not wrong, there are also blood essence formations set up near the two most important inheritances. After a brief moment of excitement, Long Chen was secretly glad that he did not kill Li Tian on impulse. Otherwise, he really did not know how long it would take for him to break the formation and obtain the inheritance. Although the ancient path Sky Patrol formation is complicated, it's not difficult to break it after 10,000 years of decay. Only the blood essence formation is troublesome. If the Li family hadn't personally opened it, the two inheritances would have probably self-destructed. Now, it seems like we can only use the current formation to snatch the inheritances at the last moment. In his previous life, Long Chen had been a sovereign. He had done some research on the Tao of formations, but he had only scratched the surface. However, he had relied on his powerful divine sense to spy on the peculiarities of this place. The Li family ancestor probably didn't expect that someone with the sovereign's divine will would enter this place 10,000 years later. At this moment, Li Tian's entire body was trembling from excitement. Under everyone's gaze, his right hand slowly landed on a jet-black stone on the ancient path. Soon after, a line of blood flowed out from his body without leaving a trace and entered the ancient path. As the blood essence was absorbed, the purple lightning on both sides of the ancient path instantly disappeared without a trace. Li Tian also stepped onto the ancient path. Finally, this moment has finally arrived. Li Tian almost lost control as he cried out involuntarily. Although the people behind him were somewhat puzzled, they did not take it to heart. This was because in front of such an inheritance, even they were extremely excited. Everyone scrambled to step onto the ancient path. Seeing this scene, the corners of Li Tian's mouth curled into a bloodthirsty smile. His gaze was fixed on Long Chen. However, soon after, his expression became somewhat unsightly. This was because Long Chen and Qing Xian stood outside the ancient path. They actually did not move at all, and it seemed as if they had no intention of stepping onto it. Long Chen held Qing Xian's hand and began to walk around the area. He did not even glance at Li Tian. Seeing that Long Chen had no intention of stepping onto the formation, Li Tian no longer hesitated. With a cold snort, he walked forward. He thought that as long as he obtained the inheritance, Long Chen would be easily dealt with. Ha! It's finally here. I, Li Tian, have finally obtained this heaven-defying opportunity. Long Chen, so what if you don't come up? Once I obtain the inheritance, I'll definitely let you watch as I torture and kill your woman with your own eyes. At this moment, Li Tian was close to madness. The inheritance was right in front of him. The moment he stepped into the ancient path Sky Patrolling formation, it was destined that only he could obtain it. Li Tian, are you crazy? There are so many inheritances ahead. If you want to monopolize them, even if we all join forces, you might not be able to succeed. What are you doing? Why aren't you moving forward? Although the dozen or so people were young and inexperienced, they could see the problem at this moment. Li Tian's actions made their hair stand on end. Move? Why should we move? This is the land of inheritance of my Li family. Li Tian laughed wildly. At this moment, he felt as if everything in this world was in his hand. If you all die, the inheritance will naturally be mine. Ancient path thunder punishment. Following Li Tian's roar, purple lightning gathered above the ancient path and turned into purple clouds in the sky. Such a scene immediately made everyone's hair stand on end. Li Tian could actually control the formation of the land of inheritance. Boom! Boom! Terrifying lightning fell like raindrops, and shrill screams could be heard. In an instant, more than 10 people were turned into charred corpses, including the 2 disciples of the Li family. Qing Xian, who was below the stage, saw this scene and immediately pulled Long Chen back. Her face was as pale as paper, and she cried out in fear, "Young master, let's leave quickly." Li Tian seems to be able to control the power of the land of inheritance. Long Chen patted Qing Xian and comforted her. It's okay. As long as we don't step on the ancient path, he can't do anything to us. Li Tian, who was on the stage, seemed to enjoy the feeling of being filled with power. At this moment, only the three of them were left in the land of inheritance. When he heard Long Chen's words, he immediately laughed wildly. Long Chen, I really want to know why you don't step on the ancient path, but it doesn't matter. In a few years after I obtain the inheritance, the entire Long family will be removed from Iron Mountain City. Li Tian looked at Long Chen with disdain and walked towards the end of the ancient path step by step. There are a total of 8 formation eyes here. 4 of them are decaying. As long as the other 4 are broken, the ancient path sky patrolling formation will lose its spiritual power. Long Chen wandered around for a while and clearly knew the 4 formation eyes of the corresponding formation. Although these formation eyes were the same as ordinary stones, they could not escape his divine sense. 4 supreme-grade spirit stones. This is much easier. We just have to wait for him to break the blood essence array. Long Chen said confidently as he stood next to a stone wall that had 4 sides. Qing Xian was confused as she listened. Looking at Li Tian, who was surrounded by purple lightning, in front of her, she unconsciously held on tightly to Long Chen. Li Tian, who had the blood of the Li family, walked on the ancient path without any obstruction. In a short time, he reached the end of the path. It's here, it's here. I, Li Tian, have waited for so long for this moment. Li Tian was so excited that his body could not stop trembling. His right hand slowly took out a piece of animal skin. The moment the animal skin appeared, a purple light gushed out and resonated with the azure flames and the purple gold book. Suddenly, a mysterious formation pattern appeared around the 2 great inheritances. Layers of formation patterns appeared and surrounded the 2 great inheritances. The shadow of an old man with the demeanor of an immortal appeared. In the distance, Long Chen's eyes flashed. His hands landed on the stone wall and he thought to himself, sure enough, this inheritance can only be obtained by the disciples of the Li family. They even need the animal skin to activate the formation. Long Chen secretly rejoiced that he did not kill Li Tian. He was the only one who could obtain the inheritance. At this moment, Li Tian had already forgotten about Long Chen. His left hand moved on the formation pattern and the animal skin turned into powder. Seeing that the defensive formation above the 2 great inheritances was slowly dissipating, he looked up to the sky and laughed. This is the fortune given to me by the heavens. The family's formation pattern, the Li family's essence, and the inherited animal skin. The opportunity that I have been preparing for so long has finally arrived. From today onwards I will be reborn. Ka. Accompanied by Li Tian's wild laughter, the shadow of the old man with the demeanor of an immortal seemed to have recognized him as a disciple of the Li family. He pressed his hands down slightly and the complete defensive formation pattern shattered inch by inch. The shadow also disappeared at this moment. Now was the time, Long Chen roared. His hands turned into claws and suddenly grabbed the 4 supreme-grade spirit stones on the wall behind him. The moment the stones fell, the ancient path sky patrolling array in front of him suddenly swept up a fierce wind. The countless purple lightning on the array instantly turned into ashes and disappeared without a trace. Even the purple light on Li Tian's body disappeared. Long Chen stepped on the Big Dipper and rushed forward at an extremely fast speed like a gust of wind sweeping past. His hands kept moving in the air. As his fingers fell, the 2 supreme-grade spirit stones in his hands turned into stone fragments. 2 visible spiritual lights entered his body. Dragon-catching claw. Long Chen's right hand turned into a claw and grabbed forward from hundreds of meters away. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the air. A 1-meter long and wide hand shadow appeared out of thin air in front of Li Tian. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. Even Li Tian was unable to react in time. Qingxian was even more stunned as she stood rooted to the spot. Ka. At the last moment, the confinement formation of the two great inheritances dissipated. Li Tian subconsciously reached out his hand to grab it. Bang! Under the light and shadow, Li Tian's whole body flew out like a sandbag dragon-catching claw, king-level martial arts technique. If not for the supreme-grade spirit stones, Long Chen would have to at least reach the spirit martial realm to barely use this high-level martial arts technique. No, this inheritance is mine. Li Tian did not care about the blood spurting out of his mouth. He shouted at the top of his lungs and rushed forward again. Come back, come back! However, he could only shout powerlessly. The azure blue flames and the golden book were caught by the hand shadow and flew quickly toward Long Chen. The moment the inheritance fell into Long Chen's hands, the purple mist around the fire cloud mountains dissipated. Hundreds and thousands of powerhouses rushed here at an extremely terrifying speed. Long Chen's chest rose and fell violently. He held the golden book in his right hand and the azure blue flames in his left hand kept dancing. With a thought, the golden book and the flames disappeared in his hand at the same time. The images in the depths of his eyes kept flashing. These two things were completely the inheritance of the will. They were not real objects. Alchemy canon, formation fire. After Long Chen merged the two great inheritances, he realized that these two things were far more heaven-defying than he had imagined. Haha, your Li family's ancestor is actually that genius. I, Long Chen, actually have such good fortune. In less than 100 years, I will be able to return to the position of dominator and even become a great emperor. This is mine. Give it back to me. I want you dead. Li Tian rushed toward Long Chen like a madman with disheveled hair. Li Tian was on the verge of collapse when the heaven-defying good fortune that he had been planning for a long time was snatched away in front of him. Bang! Long Chen's lips curled into a cold smile. He moved to the side and tripped Li Tian to the ground. He stepped on Li Tian's back and slowly picked up a long sword on the ground with his right hand. Today you may not know what you have done, but I remember. Long Chen's eyes burned with hatred as he shouted angrily. The long sword in Long Chen's hand flashed with a cold light. A head rolled out. Before he died, his eyes were still full of resentment and unwillingness. Long Chen looked at the long sword in his hand. He felt as if a chain had been broken in his heart. He looked up to the sky and roared. Chapter 4. The Chaos Codex. Outside the mountain range, experts from all the major families gathered. Originally, it was a trial for the major families, but the purple mist sealed the mountain and the Immortals' Cave opened. The purple mist sealed the entire mountain range. The power of this formation is really terrifying. Li Kong, the head of the Li family, said as he stared at the purple mist. Look, the purple mist is dispersing. Did someone get the Immortals' inheritance? Seeing that the purple mist was dispersing, the experts from all the families rushed into the mountain range. On the other side, Long Chen and Qingxian sat on the ground, panting heavily. They saw a group of people coming from afar on flying demonic beasts. In less than 15 minutes, the spiritual martial realm experts from all the families had arrived and surrounded the two of them. Aside from the people from the Long family, the other families all looked at the charred body on the ancient path with ashen faces. This was especially true for the head of the Li family, Li Kong. His eyes were fixated on Li Tian's corpse not far from Long Chen, as well as the blood-dripping sword at Long Chen's feet. Did you kill my son? Li Kang's voice was extremely cold, and his body was full of killing intent. As he spoke, he suddenly rushed out with a long spear in his right hand, aiming at Long Chen's heart. Long Chen's face turned cold. His left hand tightly held the remaining two supreme spiritual stones. With the supreme spiritual stones, he could temporarily use martial arts techniques that were far beyond his current cultivation level. Only then could he protect himself. Boom! Boom! Get lost! Before Long Chen could make a move, a long saber forced Li Kang's long spear back. The stalwart body protected Long Chen. This person had sword-like eyes and thick eyebrows. He was full of righteousness, and there were 4 shadows of giant elephants floating behind him. Father, Long Chen's eyes suddenly moistened. This was the head of the Long family, Long Tianxing. After the grand competition of the 3 cities, the Long family was jointly exterminated from Iron Mountain City by the major families. After hundreds of years, Long Chen had always wanted to reverse the cycle and see his parents again. Today, he finally saw them. Chen, take Qing Xian to your mother's side. Today, I want to see who dares to make a move against my Long family. Long Tianxing shouted domineeringly as he slapped Li Kang away. The Long family occupied half of the Iron Mountain City. Long Tianxing's cultivation was at the 4th level of the spiritual martial realm. While the 2 of them were confronting each other, a cry of surprise came from behind them. Patriarch, look at that. It's full of spiritual herbs, cultivation methods, and martial skills. The experts of the various clans arrived one after another, and they immediately discovered the remaining inheritance items at the end of the ancient path. Many people stared at the end of the ancient road with burning eyes. These cultivation methods, martial arts techniques, and spiritual medicines were almost equal to the resources distributed by the 5 biggest sects in the past few years. It was even possible to create several experts at the peak of the spiritual martial realm. Why is it that the people of my 3 great clans are all dead, and only a piece of trash like you is still alive? A middle-aged man from the Gu clan asked Long Chen as he looked around and stood beside the head of the Li clan. Long Chen's cultivation breakthrough was extremely slow, which was known by everyone in the Iron Mountain City. The middle-aged man's shout suddenly made everyone's eyes fall on Long Chen. Long Chen sneered. The Gu clan and the Li clan had already secretly joined forces. In the next few months, they would merge with the Lin clan and start a war with the Long clan. The long sword under your son's feet is still there. He must have killed Li Tian. What else do you have to say? Li Kang's face was gloomy as he stared at Long Tianxing and shouted, maybe the other clans were all killed by him. Today, if your Long clan doesn't give an explanation, don't even think about leaving here. Hand over Long Chen. A debt of blood must be paid in blood. So what if your Long clan is powerful? You dared to kill the son of the head of the Li clan. You must pay with your life. The people of the Li clan shouted one after another. The people of the Gu clan also jeered in the crowd. Everyone shut up. Long Tianxing suddenly shouted. His voice was like thunder, and a wave of qi swept out in all directions. The scene suddenly quieted down. My son is only at the 1st level of the mortal martial realm. How could he kill so many people? Li Kang heard this and waved his long spear. The Li clan disciples behind him immediately took out their weapons and glared at the Long clan. The Gu clan also did the same. Long Tianxing, you are the head of the clan. You can't start a war with 2 big clans just because of your son Long Chen, this trash. I think you should just kick Long Chen out of the clan. Behind Long Chen, an old man with a crooked back and an aquiline nose walked out and muttered. Beside him was a middle-aged man with white hair. Impossible. Today, unless I, Long Tianxing, die, no one can touch my son. Long Tianxing shouted as he protected Long Chen behind him. At this time, Long Chen, who had been watching coldly from the sidelines, stepped out. Staring at the old man from the Long clan who just spoke, he asked indifferently, Great Elder, how many years have you been in my Long clan? When did you get so close to my uncle? You want to give me, the young master of the Long clan, to other clans? Could it be that you are a spy from the Li clan? When these words came out, Li Kang and the Gu clan heads' pupils shrank. Their bodies became sluggish, and the great elder who just spoke couldn't help but shudder. The middle-aged man with white hair beside him immediately had a cold expression. He angrily rebuked, Long Chen, don't spout such filthy words. The Great Elder is the third-generation elder of the Long clan. I Long Haotian am your uncle. I have been cautious and conscientious for the clan all my life. How could I betray the clan? Chun don't be rude. Step back. Today, no one can touch you. Long Chen shook his head and didn't say anything else. He just wanted to remind his father that his uncle and the Great Elder already had ulterior motives. The destruction of the Long clan that day was inseparable from the two of them. Great Elder, as the leader of the clan's elders, don't mention this again. Just kill Li Tiansha. Our Long clan doesn't want anything here as compensation. If your Li clan doesn't comply, then let's go to war. Long Tianxing's long saber trembled as he shouted angrily. He knew that the reason why the two clans were acting like this was because of the many resources on the stage. Once they got the resources, they wouldn't be willing to fight to the death. Li Kong and the other two clan heads looked at each other. Although they were filled with hatred, seeing Long Tianxing's craziness, they finally suppressed their anger and nodded. The Lin clan, who hadn't participated until now, also agreed. The spiritual herbs and cultivation methods here could be said to be a fat piece of meat. If the Long clan didn't withdraw, at least 1/3 of it would be taken by the Long clan alone. The three great clans were naturally happy to accept such a way of dealing with it. Li Kang's eyes were filled with murderous intent as he watched Long Chen leave with the people of the Long clan. Long Tianxing suppressed the objections of the crowd, and took Long Chen to sit on a flying demonic beast, and flew back to Iron Mountain City. The three great clans divided the cultivation methods and spiritual herbs. After the Lin clan and the Gu clan left, a young man from the Li clan stood up and said, "Father, my brother can't die in vain like this. I'll make that trash suffer a fate worse than death." Li Su, remember, you're the young master of the Li clan. Use your brain more. You don't have to kill people yourself. You're not as good as your brother in this aspect. It's a pity that your brother is obsessed with martial arts and doesn't want to participate in the secular world, Li Kong said helplessly. My brother has been smart since he was young. Now that he's cultivating with the old man, I naturally can't compare to him. But I think if my brother is here, he'll definitely kill that trash of a young master of the Long clan. Li Su was very unwilling. Li Kong said with some disappointment, "You really disappoint me. In Iron Mountain City, your cultivation has reached the 6th level of the mortal martial realm. It's not low among the younger generation, but you're too superficial. Today, Long Tianxing used so many treasures to exchange for his son. There will be many people in the clan who won't accept it. Moreover, the Long clan is not an iron bucket. We'll not only kill this trash, we'll also destroy the entire Long clan. When the time comes, I'll use the heads of the entire Long clan as a sacrifice to Tian Iron Mountain City, Long clan. It had been 3 days since the opening of the Immortals' Cave. Since Long Chen returned to the Long clan, he sat cross-legged and closed his eyes to enter a meditative state. His entire mind was immersed in his sea of consciousness. Heaven and earth have yin and yang. Chaos gives birth to the Xian meridians. The extremity of man, the extremity of martial arts. A mysterious voice echoed in his mind. Haha, this is the Chaos Golden Codex. So that's how it is. Long Chen suddenly opened his eyes. His face was full of excitement as he walked towards the door. It was the middle of the night and there was no one in the martial arts field. Long Chen walked towards a huge black iron pillar. He clenched his right hand into a fist and punched out at an extremely fast speed. Keng keng! The stone pillar suddenly slid out 2 meters. This stone pillar was used by the Long clan to test the strength of the mortal martial realm. Every meter it slid out meant that it had a strength of 100 jin. Although it only slid out 2 meters, Long Chen's eyes were filled with excitement. This was because he didn't use any of his limitless powers. Under such circumstances, he was only at the 1st level of the mortal martial realm, but he was able to exert a strength of 200 jin. In other words, He, who was at the first level of the mortal martial realm, was comparable to a second level of the mortal martial realm. Now that I've switched to the Chaos Golden Codex to refine my Emperor's body, I'll definitely make rapid progress. However, I still need to gather enough medicinal herbs to repair the damaged meridians. Otherwise, I won't be able to break through to the second level. The Chaos Golden Codex alone had a total of 12 major realms in the mortal martial realm. In each realm, 2 martial veins would be opened in the body, connecting the limbs and bones. Each martial vein could bring a strength of 100 gene. This kind of blood and chi cultivation method was unheard of even in Long Chen's previous life. Since ancient times, the mortal martial realm only had 9 levels, which was the limit for a single punch of 900 gene. However, if Long Chen continued to cultivate like this, he could reach the 12th level of the mortal martial realm, and a single punch could reach a strength of 2,400 gene. A strength of 1,000 gene was equivalent to the strength of a dragon elephant. In the mortal martial realm, one could reach the strength of 2.5 dragon elephants. How heaven-defying was this? Early the next morning, Long Chen found Qing Xian and told him, "The clan gives out 1,000 taels of silver every month as a cultivation resource. I haven't received it for at least 3 months. Go get it and buy these medicinal herbs." Long Chen was still immersed in the Chaos Golden Codex and the 2 great inheritances, so he left this matter to Qing Xian. At noon, Qing Xian came back with the medicinal herbs and said, "Young master, these are the medicinal herbs you need. How much silver do I have left? Use the rest to buy these medicinal herbs. If it's not enough, forget it." Long Chen had an idea. He wrote another note and handed it to Qing Xian. Qing Xian hesitated for a moment, then nodded and left again. Outside the door, Long Tianqing looked at the medicinal herbs in Qing Xian's hands and frowned. He took a deep look at Long Chen's room and said to Qing Xian, Buy them all. As long as Chen is willing to cultivate, I will support him no matter what." The first batch of medicinal liquid was ready. Long Chen mixed it with boiling hot water, then took off his clothes and jumped into the tub. This medicinal liquid could heal his broken tendons and meridians because of the purple striped snake. It was a prescription he got from an alchemist in his previous life. Sitting in the tub with his legs crossed, he clearly felt as if ants were crawling all over his body. 3 days later, his tendons and meridians were all healed. However, he didn't leave the tub. Instead, he started to cultivate the Chaos Golden Codex. In the past, his cultivation progress was slow, not because his body was weak. On the contrary, his body was so strong that it was shocking. If the level of his cultivation method was too low, it would cause his cultivation to stagnate. It was like a drop of water dripping into a river every day. However, after cultivating the Chaos Golden Codex, there was a tremendous change. Streams of water rushed into his flesh and blood, refining his chi and blood, and started to form martial veins in his body out of thin air. 1 martial vein was 100 pounds of strength. The Chaos Golden Codex was said to be the world's #1 secret codex. It contained the secret to stepping into the Emperor realm. Long Chen used this codex to cultivate again. His future achievements were unpredictable. Sitting in the tub, Long Chen even lost his sense of time. He was constantly absorbing the spiritual power in the medicinal liquid, crazily condensing the 3rd and 4th martial veins. Once the martial veins were successfully condensed, he would be able to step into the 2nd level of the mortal martial realm. Just as Long Chen felt that the medicinal power around him was weakening, new herbs were thrown into the tub. In the blink of an eye, 7 or 8 days had passed. When Long Chen opened his eyes again, the tub was empty. There was only a pool of black water left. Success, I condensed 2 martial veins. 2nd level of the mortal martial realm, but I have the strength of 400 pounds. This is comparable to the 4th level of the mortal martial realm. Long Chen jumped up, changed his clothes and planned to go to the martial arts practice field to test it out. Long Chen went to the martial arts practice field. It was early in the morning, and many young people from the clan were gathered here. As soon as he stepped into the martial arts practice field, all eyes fell on him. This guy actually dared to come to the martial arts practice field. If it wasn't for him, my Long family would have gotten 1/3 of the spirit herbs and cultivation methods. Yes. Damn it, I failed to break through again. I have been stuck at the peak of the second level of the mortal martial realm for 5 months. If I had those spirit herbs, I would have broken through long ago. A middle-aged man beside Long Chen jumped up and angrily blocked in front of Long Chen. Chapter 5. Trash showing his might. Long Chen's face was somewhat cold, but looking at the guy in front of him who had not even reached the 3rd level of the mortal martial realm, he really did not have any interest. He coldly said, "Although there is a rule in the family to challenge each other, but as the young master of the Long family, I can refuse the challenge. Don't waste my time, get out of the way." Long family. Young master, do you still think you are the young master of the Long family? Haha. This person loudly sneered. These words made Long Chen frown and stop his step. This person was called Long Yu, the second disciple of the great elder. Today he made things difficult for him, but it was not as simple as it seemed. What do you mean by this? Long Chen asked. In these 10 days, you have wasted nearly 3,000 silver worth of herbs. In order to protect you, your father let the Fire Cloud mountain range get nothing. Therefore, the great elder secretly proposed to the Elder Hall to abolish your father's position as the patriarch. You are no longer the young master of the Long family, your father has already resigned. Now in the main hall, the Elder Hall will personally appoint the new patriarch. Long Yu laughed. That's right, a trash like you has been cultivating for 3 years? You are only at the 1st level of the mortal martial realm. What right do you have to occupy the position of the young master and waste thousands of silver every month? Without the title of young master, what are you? From now on, don't let the family waste a single cent on you. Hearing their words, Long Chen's eyes slowly narrowed as a chill rose in his heart. He secretly thought that the first elder and eldest uncle really couldn't sit still. In his previous life, because Li Tian obtained the inheritance, the two of them endured until the 5 great sects recruited disciples. Only then did they act together with the Gu and Li family. Now, there were still 2 months before the great sect assembly, and they could not help but want to abolish the patriarch. Didn't you just want to compete with me? Let me see what qualifications you have to bark here. Long Chen stared at Long Yu and said indifferently, "A trash like you can't break through and yet you blame it on me. It is really funny, trash?" Long Yu rubbed his hands together as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. He walked towards Long Chen. "I'm afraid that no one in the Long family is more useless than you. I'll beat you up so badly that your claws and teeth are all over the floor. Then, there won't be any hesitation to change the family head tomorrow," Long Yu said as he grabbed Long Chen with his hands. Long Yu is at the peak of the 2nd level of the mortal martial realm. Just one punch is enough to send him flying. There is simply no comparison. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people shook their heads, revealing a bored expression. That's right. If Long Chen didn't have the title of young master, he would have been challenged countless times and beaten into an idiot. Now, he actually dares to accept the challenge. However, what happened next made everyone's eyelids jump. Yulong's fist was extremely fast. His fist was at the peak of the 2nd level of the mortal martial realm, and his fist had the strength of 300 jin. However, he was still unable to touch Long Chen. Long Chen smiled and looked at Cosmic Dragon as if he was looking at an ant. His hands were behind his back. Since when did Long Chen cultivate a movement martial skill? Long Yu can't even touch him. The surrounding people suddenly became interested and shouted in surprise. In the blink of an eye, more than a dozen moves had passed. Long Yu simply couldn't touch Long Chen. Long Yu's complexion became ugly and he angrily shouted, Besides running away, what else can you do? Trash. Long Chen smiled and his right hand suddenly turned into a straight fist and rushed out. Seeing Long Chen's fist coming, Long Yu's complexion suddenly became overjoyed. He quickly clenched his fist and punched out. Go to hell! Long Yu shouted as he punched out. Seeing this scene, everyone shook their heads. It was as if they could already see Long Chen flying and vomiting blood. However, in the next moment, everyone's eyes were wide open and their mouths were as big as eggs. Long Yu's right hand emitted a scalp-numbing sound of bone cracking. His whole body was like a cannonball that was thrown out. His mouth even spat out blood. He flew for more than 10 meters. What is going on? Long Chen actually sent Long Yu, who is at the peak of the second level of the mortal martial realm, flying with one punch? Isn't he only at the first level of the mortal martial realm? Even if he broke through, he would only be at the second level of the mortal martial realm. How could he send Long Yu, who is at the peak of the second level of the mortal martial realm, flying with one punch? Everyone was discussing spiritedly. It was simply like a bolt from the blue. Long Chen, who had been cultivating for so long without breaking through to the first level of the mortal martial realm, actually defeated Long Yu, who was at the peak of the second level of the mortal martial realm, with one punch. This was simply unbelievable. It seems that it is more comfortable to test your fist than to use a pillar. Follow me to the main hall. Long Chen didn't have time to pay attention to everyone's words. He picked up Long Yu from the ground as if he was picking up a chicken. Long Yu's face was covered in cold sweat. His eyes were filled with fear. He felt that his body was about to fall apart. He simply didn't have the slightest strength to resist. In the main hall of the main hall, there were more than 10 elderly people on both sides. Each and every one of them had white hair and beards. The great elder was on the left side, while Long Tianxing was standing in the middle of the crowd. In front of him, on the patriarch's seat, was his brother Long Haotian. Long Tianxing, do you agree with the elder's judgment? Your son, because of killing Li Tian, caused the family to lose so many resources. Moreover, Long Chen's cultivation is low and every month, he misuses thousands of silver. If you can't even discipline your own son, how can you be the patriarch of the Long family? Although the great elder was old, his voice was full of energy. His words were full of reprimand. Second brother, it is not that I want to be the patriarch, but Long Chen is too incompetent. For him to be the patriarch is tantamount to wasting the family's resources. With the resources wasted on him, I am afraid that anyone would have stepped into the 4th or 5th level of the mortal martial realm. But he is only at the first level of the mortal martial realm, waste. Long Haotian sat on the patriarch's seat. His face was full of helplessness, but deep in his eyes, there was a trace of excitement. In order to become the family head, he and the head elder had even promised the Li clan and Gu clan tens of shops in Iron Mountain City. Once he became the family head today, the Li clan and Gu clan would come together to challenge him in 10 days and completely destroy Long Tianxing. Only in this way could he firmly sit on the patriarch's seat of the Long family and no one could shake him. All of this was because Long Tianxing had a waste of a son. Long Haotian was madly laughing in his heart, but his face didn't show it. He pretended to be heartbroken and hateful. I, Long Tianxing, have been the patriarch of the Long family for more than 10 years. My conscience is clear. The elder hall has the responsibility to cripple the patriarch. I have nothing to say. But Long Chen is my son. I will not allow you to say that he is a waste, even if you are my brother. Long Tianxing's body was full of imposing aura. His cultivation was at the peak of the 4th level of the spiritual martial realm. That may be the case, but Long Chen is indeed a piece of trash. The clan's resources can't be wasted on him, yet you've been protecting him. Long Haotian was clearly a little angry from Long Tianxing's shout. Bang! However, before he finished speaking, the door of the main hall was suddenly blasted open by a heavy object. Who dares to barge into the Patriarch's main hall? You don't want to live anymore. Long Haotian was very angry. He slammed the table and stood up. Uncle, what a powerful Patriarch's aura! Long Chen, dressed in white, stepped into the main hall with a hint of a sneer on his face. At this moment, the elders realized that the person who had just entered the main hall was a person. Long Yu was lying on the ground with his eyes rolled back. It was obvious that he had fainted. The face of the great elder on the left was even more ashen, his entire face drooping. Long Yu was the second disciple he had just accepted. Now, he was thrown into the main hall in front of him. This was simply a slap to his face. How dare you! Long Haotian was pointed at by Long Chen and yelled at. It was as if a barrel of gunpowder had been ignited. Long Chen, you actually dared to barge into the assembly hall and even dared to speak rudely to me. Kneel down now and receive 300 strikes as a warning to others. Seeing that Long Haotian had finished speaking, the people standing behind the elders wanted to rush out and take Long Chen down. 300 strikes were enough to take away half of a person's life. Let's see who dares. At this moment, Long Tianxing moved and stood in front of Long Chen. 4 illusory images of dragons and elephants appeared above his head. His entire body's energy was released in all directions and a wave of pressure swept out. The surrounding people all stopped in their tracks. An elder brother is like a father. You are my elder brother. If you want the Patriarch's position, I can give it to you. However, if anyone dares to touch Chen, I will make him bleed within 5 steps. Long Tianxing's voice was loud and clear. The long saber on his back was already in front of him. Father, this matter started because of me. I will settle it. Long Chen stood behind Long Tianxing's broad back. Even though he was a great emperor, he still felt that his father was a giant who could hold up the sky in front of him. Uncle and First Elder, in order to remove my father from the Patriarch's position, the two of you must have spent a lot of effort, right? According to the family's rules, the young Patriarch can have a few thousand taels of silver to spend every month. However, these few thousand taels of silver can be used as an excuse for your actions. You have really put in a lot of effort. Long Chen walked up and mocked Long Haotian in front of everyone. A few thousand taels of silver is a small matter, but it still needs to be used on the edge of the blade. A few thousand taels of silver every month can be heard even if they are smashed into the water. However, what about you? You are a piece of trash. Instead of using it on you, it would be better to use it on someone else. Not only that, if you didn't kill Li Tian, how could so many resources in the Immortals' Cave have all fallen into the hands of other families? Long Haotian slammed the table and stood up. Being questioned by a junior one after another, he was already on the verge of exploding. What a big joke! Long Chen suddenly laughed loudly. He took 3 steps forward and shouted, "Nurture someone else? You mean to nurture your son and let him be the young Patriarch? As for Li Tian, killing him has nothing to do with Uncle, right? According to what you said, if Li Tian wanted to kill me, I would have stretched my neck out for him to kill. You are from the Long family, not the Li family. As for those resources, I used my life to exchange for them. What does it have to do with you? So what if you nurture my son? My son Long Xing is about the same age as you, and he is already at the peak of the 3rd level of the mortal martial realm. Spending a few thousand taels of silver on him is better than spending it on a piece of trash like you." Long Haotian said anxiously. Haotian's words are reasonable. You are not qualified to be the Long family's young Patriarch. Long Xing's aptitude and character are above you. Haotian becoming the Patriarch and Long Xing becoming the young Patriarch is a long-term plan. Also, in the family's internal strife, you are not allowed to use sneak attack. You injured Long Yu to this extent. How should you be punished? The great elder finally could not help but speak out. Long Chen sneered again and again. Looking at the two of them echoing each other, his heart was filled with coldness. The great elder and Long Haotian were simply the cancer of the Long family. In his previous life, if the two of them did not collude with the Li family and the Gu family, the family would not have been exterminated. Sneak attack? This is the result of his own lack of skill. Also, you keep saying that I am a piece of trash. If Long Xing becomes the young patriarch, then it is for the sake of the family's future. But what if I, a piece of trash, defeated Long Xing? Long Chen stared at Long Haotian and said word by word. Chapter 6. Transformation Stage Martial Skills. The large conference hall had never been as lively as it was today. The clamor attracted many Long clan disciples to watch from afar. Long Chen stood in the middle of the hall and scolded Long Haotian. Everyone was shocked and Long Haotian lost all face. Long Xing and Long Chen stood in the middle of the hall at the same time. They were only a few meters apart. The battle that was about to break out shocked everyone. The battle for the patriarch position had turned into a battle between two younger generations. First level of the mortal martial realm against the peak of the third level of the mortal martial realm. The patriarch is really allowing them to mess around here. I think it's good that the patriarch has changed. Long Xing's aptitude is much better than Long Chen's. If he becomes the young patriarch, he will definitely be able to step into the spirit martial realm. It's okay. With Long Xing's strength, he can easily defeat Long Chen, who cultivates at a tortoise speed. I don't know where Long Chen's confidence comes from. Yeah, there's no suspense at all. It's as good as handing over the position of the patriarch. Outside the hall, everyone was discussing as they looked at the two people inside the hall. Long Xing looked at Long Chen in front of him, his eyes full of contempt. He stepped forward, waved his hand and said, I will only use the simplest move, splitting air fist. You have to be careful. If I cripple or kill you, don't blame me. Although these words were arrogant, the surrounding elders all nodded their heads. Long Chen had always been at the first level of the mortal martial realm. Long Xing was at the third level of the mortal martial realm. If he used all his strength, killing Long Chen with one punch was not impossible. Chen don't mess around. It's just the patriarch position. It's fine if you don't want it. Long Tianxing stared at Long Chen with some worry, wanting to stop him. Father, just watch. Long Chen shook his head and said, Splitting air fist? I haven't used it for a long time. It's more than enough to defeat you in one move. Long Chen's words were extremely harsh in Long Xing's ears. The people outside the door burst into laughter. A first level of the mortal martial realm defeating a fourth level of the mortal martial realm in one move. Moreover, using the same martial skill? This was simply courting death. Shameless boasting. Watch out for my fist. Long Xing shouted in disdain and threw out a punch. The wind from his fists was like a blade, bringing with it the sound of air being torn apart. Clap, clap, clap. Before the fist arrived, there were already 7 sonic booms. The sky-splitting fist was a martial skill that almost everyone in the Long family knew. It was a mortal-level middle-level martial skill, and when it was practiced to the late stage, one could punch out 9 times with an additional 30% of strength. Not bad. Long Xing's aptitude is indeed outstanding. It's only been a while and he's already cultivated the space-splitting fist to 7 echoes. Although the space-splitting fist is only a mortal tier martial skill, it is easy to learn but difficult to master. To be able to achieve such an achievement, it shows that his talent in comprehending martial skills is not low. When the elders saw this scene, they all nodded their heads in praise. This caused Long Haotian to reveal a proud expression on his face. Long Tianxing's expression turned cold when he saw this. He was about to stop Long Xing, but before he could do anything, he heard a series of sonic booms that sounded like beans being fried. His figure stopped in place. His face was filled with disbelief as he looked at Long Chen, who was not far away from him. At the same time, all the elders' expressions suddenly changed. Each and every one of them was shocked. Their minds seemed to have been struck by lightning as they slapped their seats and stood up. Long Chen's punch actually produced 13 echoes. This was the result of the space-splitting fist reaching perfection. Long Xing's figure suddenly trembled, but he did not have the slightest intention of retreating. So what if the martial skill was strong? The gap between the realms could not be made up. However, in the next moment, he realized that he was wrong. When the two fists collided, a gust of wind spread out with the two as the center, bringing with it bursts of chi waves, ka-ka. Ah! Mournful screams accompanied the sound of bones breaking. The entire main hall quieted down at this moment. Long Chen, who had always been a waste, actually defeated Long Xing, who was at the peak of the third level of the mortal martial realm, with one punch. Long Xing's wrist was swollen like a pig's trotter, twisted at a strange angle. His entire arm was drooping like noodles, and his entire face was distorted because of the pain. There was also a trace of arrogance. "Chen, are you? How did you do it?" Even Long Tianxing, who was standing behind Long Chen, was somewhat stunned. His son, who was at the first level of the mortal martial realm, had now defeated Long Xing, who was at the third level of the mortal martial realm, with one punch. Is this really Tianxing's son, Long Chen? He actually defeated Long Xing with just one punch, and even cultivated the mortal martial middle-level space-splitting fist to perfection. He is only a teenager, yet he can cultivate the space-splitting fist to perfection. How did he do it? How is he a waste? He is simply a genius. At this moment, whether it was the elders who stood up in shock, or the Long family disciples who were watching outside the main hall, they were all shocked and exclaimed. Long Chen's eyes swept over Long Xing's body as if he did not see him. Long Chen was not surprised that he had defeated him. Not to mention that he now had 4 martial veins, and the strength of one punch was comparable to the 4th level of the mortal martial realm. Even if he was at the 1st level of the mortal martial realm, just by relying on his powerful divine sense and skills, he could crush the 3rd level of the mortal martial realm. At this moment, relying on his divine sense and the strength of his body, he was not afraid of even the 5th level of the mortal martial realm. Long Chen stared at Long Haotian and asked, "Uncle, do you think I have the qualifications to enjoy the resources of a few thousand taels per month? My father's cultivation is above yours, and your son was defeated by me with one punch. Tell me, what qualifications do you have to sit on the patriarch's seat? Elders, what do you think?" The elders whispered to each other and nodded their heads. The meaning of their words was self-evident. Only the great elder's face was completely dark, and in the end, he could only nod along with the other elders. Seeing this scene, Long Haotian's eyes were about to split open, and his whole body was emitting killing intent. With a cold snort, he picked up Long Xing and left. Long Haotian carried Long Xing on his back as he walked on the family's main road. Everywhere he went, he was pointed at and whispered, "Father, I am not reconciled. That Long Chen, in just half a month, how could he turn from a waste into a genius? In that immortal's cave, he must have obtained something else." Long Xing's face was full of unwillingness as he gritted his teeth and said. Long Haotian's eyes suddenly flashed with killing intent, and he said in a low voice, "Tonight, go to the warm fragrance pavilion and contact the Li family. I want Long Chen to die." In the main hall, Long Chen and his son's situation was the opposite. All the elders' impression of Long Chen had greatly changed. "Tianxing, you have a good son. In the future, you must properly cultivate him. In the future, he will certainly be a great talent." All the elders stood up and left the main hall. They walked in front of Long Tianxing and instructed him. Staring at Long Chen, their eyes were full of admiration. At such a young age, he was able to defeat Long Xing, who was at the peak of the 3rd level of the mortal martial realm. His splitting air fist had reached the perfection stage. These 2 points were enough to make everyone have a whole new level of respect for him. "Chen, tell father honestly, What did you obtain in that immortal's cave? Seeing everyone leave, Long Tianqing closed the door and whispered to Long Chen. Father, it's not that I don't want to say, but there is something that is hard to say. Long Chen shook his head with a bitter smile. Whether it was the primal chaos golden codex, the inheritance of alchemy and array, or the matter of his rebirth, as long as any one of these was spread out, it would be enough to destroy the entire Iron Mountain city. For the entire Long family, and also for his father's safety, this matter could not be known to a second person. Well, boy, you have grown up. It is enough that you can cultivate. In the future, if you need anything, just say it. I believe that group of old men will not say anything. Long Tianqing's eyes were full of gratification. Long Chen nodded. He stared at Long Tianqing for a while and said faintly, Our Long family's spiritual level technique has some flaws. Otherwise, with father's talent, you would have been able to break through after 2 years. The inner strength flows in the meridians, then it spreads out and rushes. Xiaoyang, Shanzhong, Tianin. After Long Chen finished speaking, he was afraid that Long Tianqing would ask about the details, so he hurriedly left. In the main hall, Long Tianqing's eyes shone brightly. Long Chen's short words had actually completed the Long family's spiritual level technique. After Long Chen left, Long Tianqing chose to go into seclusion to break through to spiritual martial realm level 5. At night, in the warm fragrance pavilion, Long Xing, you said that Long Chen was defeated by trash? And it also made Long Tianqing's position in the Long family more stable. How is this possible? Li Su's face was gloomy as he shouted in surprise. Young Master Li Su, I'm afraid that Long Chen obtained something extraordinary in the land of inheritance. Otherwise, his strength would not have increased so much in such a short time. This person cannot be left alive. A middle-aged man behind Li Su said with a dignified face. Long Chen's name of trash was well known in the entire Iron Mountain city. The Li family and the Gu family had long used this as an excuse to help Long Haotian become the patriarch of the Long family. Now that Long Tianqing's position was stable, it was obvious that the Li family did not want to see this happen. If Long Tianqing broke through to spiritual martial realm level 5, then the Long family could be said to be the overlord of the entire Iron Mountain city. Li Su, you are now at mortal martial realm level 6. The strength of your fist is 600 pounds. Long Chen is definitely not your opponent. Once this person is eliminated, Long Tianqing will definitely be furious and lose his mind. At that time, my father will easily seize the patriarch's position. Long Xing's voice was ice-cold as he coldly said. After these words, Li Su and the others suddenly became silent. After thinking for a moment, Li Su said, Although this is not the original plan, at this moment, this is the only way. However, you must let Long Chen leave the Long family. At that time, I will personally kill him. It's a deal. When Long Xing saw that Li Su had agreed, a trace of joy suddenly appeared on his face. In his heart, he secretly thought that Long Chen would definitely die this time. Li Su had already reached mortal martial realm level 6. In the younger generation of Iron Mountain City, this level of cultivation was already rare. After the matter was discussed, Long Xing did not dare to stay any longer. After all, the Long family and the Li family were like fire and water. Moreover, he was Long Haotian's son. If he was seen by others, then it would be troublesome. After Long Xing left, Li Su's eyes became more and more ruthless. In his hand, it was instantly crushed into powder. As for his father Li Kang's instructions, he had already thrown them to the back of his mind. Long Chen, you killed my younger brother Li Tian. I want you to pay back this debt 1,000 times over. You will experience what it means to beg for death. When Li Su's voice fell, a stooped old man slowly walked out from a dark corner of the room. His entire body was covered under a black robe. The old man's voice was hoarse as he whispered, Young master, please reconsider. Long Chen is originally a waste. Even if he has some opportunities, it is only a small matter. It has no impact on the overall situation. If you kill Long Chun now, it will definitely cause Long Tianxing to go crazy for revenge. The gains will not make up for the losses. Chapter 7. Consecutive breakthroughs in the Long family. After defeating Long Xing, Long Chen did not have the slightest joy. As for Li Su's plan, he had no idea. But even if he knew, he would not care. Although he was only at the second level of the mortal martial realm, he had opened up 4 martial veins. The power of his fist was comparable to the 4th level of the mortal martial realm. In just a few days, this kind of improvement could be called heaven-defying. But this kind of cultivation was not worth mentioning in his eyes. His goal was the following 3 cities tournament. The 3 cities tournament was a grand event held by the Empire. The purpose was to select the best young people in the Empire's cities. After many rounds of selection, they could embark on the immortal path. If they were chosen by the 5 great sects, they could become a sect disciple and soar to the sky. In his previous life, Li Tian had embarked on the immortal path after the 3 cities tournament. And after the 3 cities tournament began, it was time for the major families to make a move on the Long family. Counting with his fingers, there was not much time left before the 3 cities tournament. He had to improve his cultivation as soon as possible. Otherwise, he would be powerless against the older generation of the major families. As Long Chen was pondering how to improve his cultivation as soon as possible, the door was slowly pushed open. A beautiful woman in simple clothes walked in. Long Chen saw the woman and his eyes turned slightly red. He stood up and greeted her. He softly said, "Mother, why are you here?" For a moment, Long Chen's thoughts were thousands of thoughts. That day, his Long family was destroyed. After hundreds of years, they finally met again today. He could not help but miss her. Long Chen threw himself into the arms of the beautiful woman. "Silly child, what's wrong with you? We haven't seen each other for a few days. Your performance these days really made your father so happy that he couldn't close his mouth," the beautiful woman said while patting Long Chen's shoulder. Her right hand took out a package from behind her. "This is the elixir sent by the family's elder hall. Before the 3 cities tournament, you must improve your cultivation. At least reach the 5th level of the mortal martial realm. Only then will you have a chance to enter the second round. At that time, even if you can't participate in the immortal path, you can get a lot of resources from the 5 great sects." Long Chen looked at the package and nodded heavily. His eyes sparkled. He said in a deep voice, "Mother, don't worry. The day of the 3 cities competition will be the day when we soar to the sky. Everything will change at that time. This child, hurry up and cultivate. Your father told me to remind you not to go out these days as much as possible. If there's anything you need, just tell Qing Xian." The beautiful woman handed the bundle to Long Chen, and then left the room. After the woman left, Long Chen took out the spirit medicines from his bag. Shortly after, he helplessly shook his head and muttered to himself, "These spirit medicines aren't high level. At most, they're only mortal tier 3rd grade. Directly consuming them is too ineffective. Since I've received the Li family ancestors' pill inheritance, I should try my best to refine the spirit medicines into pills. But these things are worth at least 10,000 taels of silver. It seems that these old guys want to bet on me in this tournament of the 3 cities." Long Chen thought of the shocked faces of the elder hall in the main hall, and the corners of his mouth could not help but reveal a smile. He called Qing Xian to prepare a large tub of scalding hot water. Then, he ground all the spirit medicines and put them in. The mortal martial realm mainly focused on condensing blood and qi, tempering the skin, flesh, tendons, and bones. Therefore, almost all the spirit medicines were best applied externally. However, this was in the absence of pills. After all, the status of an alchemist was much higher than that of an ordinary martial artist. In Iron Mountain City, alchemists were rarely seen. Moreover, The major families in Iron Mountain City did not have enough spirit medicines to support an alchemist. After the spirit medicines entered his body, Long Chen's body was like a giant whale breathing out. He quickly absorbed the medicinal efficacy. His skin, flesh, tendons, and bones issued bursts of rumbling sounds. His body was bright red and glistening. Qing Xian, you guard the door for the time being. These spirit medicines should be enough for me to break through to the third or even fourth level of the mortal martial realm. No matter who it is, don't let them in for the time being. Even if it's my parents, let them wait. After a long while, Long Chen felt that the medicinal efficacy in his body had reached its peak. The third martial vein was about to open, so he instructed Qing Xian. Qing Xian looked at Long Chen's smooth and muscular body. Her cheeks were slightly flushed. She nodded her head and walked out of the room. The first few levels of the mortal martial realm were very important. If one was not careful, they would have to start all over again. Long Chen had the body of a great emperor and the help of the primal chaos golden codex. His cultivation speed could not be measured by common sense. Soon, he began to condense the sixth heaven martial vein. The dark green liquid medicine in the wooden barrel slowly began to dilute and fade. This sat until noon of the second day. A muffled sound came from Long Chen's body. Qing Xian's face jumped. She was surprised and said to herself, "Young master obtained the immortal's inheritance this time. His cultivation speed is terrifying." It's only been a day, but he broke through again. After condensing the sixth martial vein, Long Chen stepped into the third level of the mortal martial realm. The dark green liquid in the wooden barrel had turned into a light green color. However, the medicinal efficacy was still very abundant. Long Chen began the second round of breakthrough. 8,000 meters away from Long Chen's residence, in the Long family's West Wing residence, the Long family's great elders' residence shouted, "Get out! You can't even beat a waist. What qualifications do you have to be my second disciple?" Bang! The door was suddenly pushed open. Long Yu, who was seriously injured by Long Chen's punch, flew out of the courtyard. The corner of his mouth was full of blood, and there was a huge footprint on his clothes. Then he rolled and crawled out of the courtyard. In the courtyard, a 22 or 23 years old strong young man stared at Long Yu and sneered. He said to the Long family's great elder, "Master, don't be angry. Long Chen obtained some benefits from the mountain range. It's only a temporary increase in strength. It's not worth mentioning. Why don't I go beat him up?" This man was the Long family's great elder's eldest disciple, Long Ying. His cultivation was one of the best in the younger generation of the Long family. He had already reached the peak of the fifth level of the mortal martial realm. Unfortunately, he was not from the main branch. His status was not high and he was not very popular. However, under the guidance of the great elder, his fist skills had reached the point of perfection. In the younger generation of the Long family, few people dared to confront him. That Long Chen made me lose face in the elder hall. Not only that, those guys even took out nearly 10,000 silver taels of elixirs to give to that brat. I'm so angry. This guy knows that Long Yu is my new disciple, but he still doesn't give me face. Now that Long Tianxing is in seclusion, you go and help me teach him a lesson. Otherwise, how can I, the great elder, stand in front of the Long family's disciples? The great elder's face was livid with anger as he shouted fiercely. Long Ying quickly agreed and whispered, "Now that the grand competition of the three cities is imminent, the Elder Hall gave so many elixirs to this waste. It's obvious that they want to put their hopes on him. Why don't I beat him until he can't get out of bed for a year and a half? Good. In this way, I will push you to become the core of the grand competition of the three cities. Even if Long Tianxing wants to punish you, the Elder Hall will not agree." Chapter 8. You Deserve to Die. The scorching sun slowly disappeared and the sky gradually cooled down. More and more Long family disciples began their third round of training in the martial arts arena. Long Ying strode past the martial arts arena towards Long Chen's residence. Long Ying? Why did he come back from the arena? Is it because of Long Yu? Long Yu was defeated by Long Chen 2 days ago, and has been kicked out by the great clan elder. However, 2 days ago, Long Chen was in the limelight in the great clan hall, causing the great clan elder and Long Haotian to lose face. I'm afraid this matter will not be settled peacefully. Could it be that Long Ying is going to find Long Chen? This time Long Chen is finished. Let's hurry over and take a look. When everyone saw Long Ying heading towards Long Chen's residence, they immediately revealed expressions of watching a show. Not only did no one go forward to inform the great clan elder, they all followed behind Long Ying. In their eyes, Long Chen was originally a trash, but because of the immortal's inheritance land, his strength increased explosively, and the resources that should have been obtained by the Long family were given to other families. This made them very unhappy, and they even felt a bit of jealousy and resentment towards Long Chen. Long Xing's mouth revealed a complacent smile. His strength was definitely one of the best in the Long family, but because he was from a branch family, he was not placed in an important position. Therefore, he often appeared in the sea-sky duel arena to obtain resources to increase his strength. Therefore, he was very confident in his martial skills and fighting skills. There was once a Long family disciple who was at the 5th level of the mortal martial realm who had a quarrel with him. He was crippled by 3 punches and had to lie in bed for a year. Now, as long as he defeated Long Chen in front of everyone and borrowed the great clan elder to push him into the great competition of the 3 cities, then his position in the Long family would be like the sun in the sky. More and more people came, and in a short while, there were dozens of people following behind Long Ying to Long Chen's door, all of them with a mocking smile. In front of the door, the beautiful face of a Qing Xian standing at the door immediately turned ashen. Her expression was very ugly, but she clenched her fists and bit her lower lip as she walked down the stairs. Facing the gazes of dozens of people, she said in a deep voice, "What are you doing? Are you trying to rebel? My young master is the young master of the Long family." Long Xing stared at Qing Xian, sneered twice, and said playfully, "We're not here to fight. Tell that trash that I, Long Ying, am here to challenge him." "Brother Long Ying, don't panic. He's the young patriarch. He has 3 chances to reject the challenge, and let the 3 of us challenge him first. Quick, call Long Chen out. It's reasonable for the family to challenge him. As the young lord, he can't back down. Letting a maidservant stand up for him, this young master is really something." The disciples of the Long family had 3 chances to challenge each month. The purpose was to improve their cultivation and combat ability. Such a rule existed in every big family, but 3 consecutive challenges in a day had never happened before. Qing Xian was so angry that her delicate body trembled. She shouted, "You're all disciples of the Long family. How can you bully people like this? Long Ying, you're already 23 years old, but how old is my young master? This challenge is not fair at all. I want to find the patriarch to judge." "Humph, you're just an outsider, a maidservant. Do you really think you're the young mistress of the Long family?" Hearing that Qing Xian was going to find Long Tianxing, Long Ying's face suddenly became serious. His right hand flew out quickly and hit Qing Xian's shoulder. Qing Xian's cultivation was only at the 1st level of the spiritual martial realm. She was no match for Long Ying. Under this punch, she flew back a few meters and hit the door hard. "Young master said that no one can go in." Qing Xian's face was pale with blood flowing out of the corner of her mouth, but she held the door tightly with both hands. Long Ying snorted coldly, and a fierce look flashed across his face. He was not a group of disciples of the Long family who lived in a greenhouse. He had long been used to blood after rolling around in the sea-sky duel arena. Qing Xian was just a girl who was picked up and was not a member of the Long family. As long as he won the qualification for the tournament of the 3 cities, even if he killed her, he would only be punished. His right hand broke through the air again, and his feet were even faster. In a flash, he was in front of Qing Xian. He said coldly, "Get out of my way!" Seeing this punch coming, Qing Xian did not move away. Instead, she held the door more tightly and closed her eyes. Boom! At this moment, a muffled sound suddenly came from the room. A soul-stirring aura spread in all directions. A large crack suddenly appeared on the door and a palm-sized iron pot smashed out. It fell right towards Long Ying's eyes. This sudden attack made Long Ying's face change. He quickly retreated and then sneered, "So you are breaking through. No wonder this damned maid is unwilling to move away." Caw-caw. The door was pushed open and Long Chen walked out slowly. Without looking at Long Ying, he bent down and picked up Qing Xian and put her behind him. Qing Xian's pale face looked at Long Chen, and then looked at Long Ying outside the door. She quickly said, "Young master, don't agree to the duel with him." Go find, however, she stopped halfway because she felt a chill that made her heart tremble. She could only see coldness in Long Chen's eyes. Those eyes were as deep as the abyss, as if they had some kind of magic. Was this really her previous young master? "You deserve to die." Long Chen's voice seemed to come from the depths of hell, full of murderous intent. Originally, this place was within the Long family, and he was not very vigilant. Because he was close to breaking through, he completely retracted his powerful divine sense. He did not expect that he would almost make a big mistake. This Long Ying actually dared to kill Qing Xian in the Long family. This completely touched Long Chen's bottom line. In his previous life, Qing Xian's death was still vivid in his mind after hundreds of years. Today, Long Ying had completely evoked his murderous intent. Deserve to die. Just based on you, you only obtained some benefits in the mountain range. Even if your strength is astonishing, you can only condense 3 or 4 martial veins at most. You dare to be arrogant in front of me? Long Ying looked at Long Chen with disdain, his words full of ridicule. He, who had been fighting in the duel arena for many years, was very unhappy with Long Chen, who was clearly a waste, but was still able to be nurtured in the Long family. In his opinion, the reason why Long Chen was able to defeat Long Xing, who was at the 4th level of the mortal martial realm, was only due to luck. Or maybe he obtained a spirit medicine to increase his strength in the land of inheritance. It was not worth mentioning. Brother Long Ying, don't panic. This waste is just bluffing. I'm afraid he will reject your challenge. Let us 2 worldly immortals challenge him. When the time comes, he can only accept. 2 people stood out behind Long Ying. These 2 people were also the great elder's subordinate. They seemed to have the intention to curry favor with Long Ying. When Long Ying heard this, he felt that it made some sense and nodded in agreement. But at this time, Long Chen's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He shouted, "Noisy!" Chapter 9. Only death awaits. In the courtyard in front of Long Chen's door, dozens of people were watching coldly from the sidelines. They were all waiting to see him make a fool of himself. The moment they saw Long Chen rush out, they all sneered. Not to mention Long Chen, the 2 guys in front of him were close to 25 or 26 years old. Their cultivation was around the 4th level of the mortal martial realm. They had followed the Great Elder for many years and their battle prowess was extraordinary. Now that Long Chen had actually rushed out first, he was simply courting death. What? Long Chen actually wants to fight 2 people by himself. Could it be that he has lost his mind? Although these 2 people are not from the Long family, their strength is not weak. Just because he obtained some benefits from the immortal's legacy, he actually dares to be so arrogant. Seeing Long Chen jump down the stairs from the door, his figure had already rushed in front of the 2 people in front of Long Ying. His 2 fists were like dragons, one on the left and one on the right. He was obviously going to take down the 2 people in one fell swoop. So fast. The 2 attendants' expressions changed. They did not expect Long Chen to be so decisive and fast. However, the two of them were still at the fourth level of the mortal martial realm. They thought in their hearts that no matter how powerful Long Chen was, so what if he fought two people by himself? The two of them were not the slightest bit afraid of this fist. With a shout, they suddenly met it head-on. Poochie! Our four fists collided. Two scalp-numbing tearing sounds rang out, followed by a series of mournful cries. The air was instantly filled with the smell of blood. The surrounding people all sucked in a breath of cold air. The dozens of Long family disciples who were watching the show retreated a few steps in shock. They felt their backs drenched in cold sweat and their eyes filled with fear. There were even some who could not bear it and directly bent over to vomit. The two people who were facing Long Chen's fists directly had their arms forcefully broken from the joint. The bones in their arms protruded out. The scene was extremely bloody. The two people's faces were as white as paper, and they continuously howled in pain. Very few of the Long family disciples had seen such a bloody scene before. In everyone's eyes, the current Long Chen was no longer the trash of the past. His imposing aura caused people to involuntarily feel fear. However, Long Chen stood in place and looked at the blood on his fist. He didn't even frown. He just stared at the two of them and said coldly, "Although the two of you have been given the surname Long, you are still my Long family's dogs. Today you have offended your superiors. One of your arms will be broken." These two were only in the fourth level of the mortal martial realm and had only opened 4 martial veins. As for Long Chen, although he was only in the fourth level of the mortal martial realm, he had 8 martial veins. The strength of his fist was comparable to an ordinary 8th level of the mortal martial realm, reaching a terrifying 800 Jin. Good, I didn't expect this. You actually hit it so deeply. With such a temperament, you can no longer be considered trash. Only then will it be interesting. Although Long Ying's body was splashed with blood, his expression did not change in the slightest. Instead, his fighting spirit increased. Long Chen's attack made his heart slightly startled, but he did not care. After all, those two were only at the 4th level of the mortal martial realm. Moreover, Long Chen's attack was sudden, so his failure was understandable. Interesting. When Long Chen heard this, the corner of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. His eyes narrowed as he said, "The two of them have offended their superiors. One arm is enough, but you have to die. You think that you can kill me after winning against these two trash? Let me show you what a battle is." Long Ying sneered. His body moved, and his sturdy body pounced towards Long Chen like a fierce tiger descending the mountain. From the bottom of his heart, Long Ying looked down on the main branch of the Long family, who had never experienced life and death situations. A pale green cold light appeared on his fists. The sound of his fists pierced through the air, as if they were 2 pieces of iron and stone. Long Chen raised his eyebrows, secretly thinking that he had underestimated Long Ying. The fist that was originally rushing out slightly retracted, and he took a step back, easily dodging the fist. Qinggang Iron Sand Fist. This was a type of fist technique that trained horizontally. Every day, one's fist would be hammered 7 times within the iron sand, and one would have to endure unimaginable torture. In the later stages of training, one's fist would be like iron, impenetrable by swords and spears. However, once this fist technique reached the spirit martial realm, it would be considered a trash martial skill. Moreover, it would bring about a lot of harm, so no one would cultivate it. This retreat was not because he was afraid of this move, but because if his fist were to land on this steel-like fist, it would inevitably cause harm to his body. If he were to waste 10 days to half a month because of this injury, then the gains would not make up for the losses. This was like a rock smashing into another rock that was even harder. Even if it shattered the target, it would still be injured. However, Long Chen's dodge caused the surrounding people to heave a sigh of relief. As expected, no matter how strong he is not a match for Long Ying. Long Ying's iron sand fist is practically invincible under the spirit martial realm. Long Ying, hurry up and teach him a lesson. Otherwise, the people from the Hall of Elders will probably come. Seeing Lin Feng dodge, Long Ying immediately sneered. Why are you afraid? For a full 6 years, I have never met a match under this iron sand fist. After today, you will lie in bed for 2 or 3 years. As Long Ying spoke, he once again pounced. This time, his fist was like a rainbow, completely sealing off Long Chen's retreat. Unfortunately, this time Long Chen did not have the slightest intention of retreating. Instead, he leaped forward. His figure was as agile as a fish rippling in the water. In an instant, he disappeared from his original position, leaving behind afterimages. When he reappeared, he was already standing behind Long Ying. This is my Long family's mortal-level martial skill, flowing shadow water step technique? How can it be so fast? 5 afterimages, a total of 5 afterimages. This martial skill has already reached the great accomplishment. This, Long Ying's hands have been caught. Everyone cried out involuntarily. Their faces were full of disbelief. They could not believe that the trash in their mouths had not only cultivated the breaking air fist to the perfection stage, but also cultivated the water step technique to the great accomplishment stage. Courting death. Long Ying's face also changed greatly. However, he immediately felt that his hands were caught by Long Chen. Not only did he not panic, his whole body shook as he tried to break free. He secretly thought that he himself was at the peak of the 5th level of the mortal martial realm. Long Chen actually wanted to catch his hands like this. He was simply courting death. However, he soon knew that he was wrong. Because Long Chen's hands transmitted a huge force, making him feel deeply powerless. Just now, you used this pair of fists to hit Qin Xian? Long Chen said indifferently. Caw. Just as his voice fell, the sound of bones shattering appeared in everyone's ears. Then, a mournful cry came from Long Ying's mouth. Although you are of the Long family's bloodline, you dare to make a move on Qin Xian. Only death awaits you. As he spoke, he directly punched Long Ying's entire chest, causing it to cave in. Dragons have reverse scales. Once touched, they would be enraged. Qin Xian and her parents were Long Chen's reverse scales. The light in Long Ying's eyes quickly dissipated. Until the moment of his death, he could not believe that Long Chen had actually killed him just as he finished speaking. There was no hesitation or fear, as if he had done a very ordinary thing. On the other side, the Elder Hall finally discovered that Long Ying had brought dozens of family disciples to Long Chen's location. One by one, they rushed over anxiously. However, the great elder forcibly delayed everyone's footstep. The corner of his mouth revealed a proud smile. Elders, why are you in such a hurry? It is normal for family disciples to challenge. My disciple Long Ying will definitely be merciful and will not take his life. Everyone had just passed by the martial arts practice field. After hearing this scream, the great elder immediately stopped delaying everyone's footstep. A hint of joy flashed across his face. He secretly thought that Long Chen was most likely injured to the point of being half dead. Chapter 10. Instant kill. Ling Wu. The sky had darkened and the sun was setting. Without the great elder's obstruction, everyone rushed to the entrance of the courtyard. When they saw dozens of Long family disciples surrounding the courtyard, their faces darkened. One of the red-faced old men shouted, "Get out of the way! Give Long Chen the healing medicine. Who gave you the guts to cause trouble here? Where is Long Ying?" Seeing that the Elder Hall had appeared, the crowd slowly moved to the sides and made a path. The great elder walked in front with a happy face. It was obvious that he wanted to protect Long Ying. He said in an old-fashioned tone, "It's just a competition between the younger generation. Why are you so serious? It's understandable that Long Chen lost." However, he did not notice that the dozens of Long family disciples around him were looking at him strangely. They were staring at him, as if he was an idiot. What's going on? The great elder felt everyone's strange gaze and could not help but feel puzzled. At this moment, the crowd had all dispersed. The third elder saw Long Chen from afar, and two seriously injured servants beside him. Of course, there was also a corpse. Only then did the first elder, who was walking at the front, shift his gaze away from the members of the Long clan beside him and look forward. Immediately, his footsteps came to an abrupt halt. Soon after, his originally joyous expression instantly froze on his face. This was because there was a faintly discernible smile at the corner of Long Chen's mouth. As he stared at him from afar under Long Chen's feet, Long Ying's chest had caved in. He could not be more dead. Impossible, you killed Long Ying? The great elder cried out involuntarily. At the same time, his face turned gloomy. 3 dragon-elephant shadows appeared behind him. What? Could it be that first elder wants to take revenge for your first disciple? Long Chen narrowed his eyes and sneered. A peak-grade spirit stone landed in his hand without leaving a trace. The great elder had secretly colluded with the Li family and harmed the Long family greatly in his previous life. If the great elder attacked him openly, he did not mind wasting a top-grade spiritual stone to get rid of him. Be careful, great elder. At this moment, the red-faced elder jumped forward. 2 dragon-elephant shadows appeared behind him and blocked the great elder. Scram! I'm going to kill this brat today. However, the great elder seemed to have lost his mind. Behind him, the shadow of the dragon elephant condensed once again. His strength of the 4th level of the Ling Qi layer was fully displayed. With a single step, the ground shook. The 2 fists collided, and the red-faced old man was sent flying. The wall behind him, which was more than 10 meters tall, was instantly shattered into countless pieces. A dragon-elephant phantom had the strength of 1,000 jin. With a difference of 2 levels between their cultivations, it was a total of 2,000 jin of strength. With this punch, it was unknown whether the red-faced old man was dead or alive. Great Elder, it seems like you plan to kill me and escape from the Long clan. Why are you so quick to throw yourself into the arms of the Li clan? Long Chen remained unmoved. His eyes were filled with coldness, and his words were filled with killing intent. Even though the Great Elder was a member of the Long clan for 3 generations, he was obsessed with pills that could prolong one's life. He was even more obstinate and self-opinionated. In his previous life, after the Long clan had been exterminated, Long Chen had specifically asked around. The reason why the old man had betrayed the Long clan was because of a turtle year pill that could increase one's lifespan by 3 years. At this moment, the Great Elder's attack seemed crazy. In reality, he could see that Long Chen was no longer the trash he used to be. From now on, Long Tianxing's position as the patriarch of the Long clan would be unshakable. After killing Long Chen, it would not be difficult for him to escape. After all, Long Tianxing was still in seclusion. Everything was too sudden. Everything happened too quickly. Even the other elders of the Elder Hall could not react in time. Even though the Great Elder and Long Chen had a grudge, no one would have thought that he would kill the young master of the Long clan, Long Chen, because of Long Ying's death. Could it be that he was really related to the Li clan? The surrounding young disciples of the Long clan were even more pale. The strength of the 4th level of the spiritual martial realm was too terrifying. Everyone looked at Long Chen with pity. They knew that he would definitely die today. The Great Elder of the Long clan was at the 4th level of the spiritual martial realm. If he attacked from a distance of a few meters, no one would be able to save him. Go to hell. The Great Elder's crooked body could not help but straighten at this moment. His voice was full of ruthlessness. His right hand formed a fist, and there was a flash of spiritual light. This was the power of the spiritual martial realm after opening the chakra. Opening the major acupoints in the body and practicing qi. This fist had the power of a few thousand jin. It was also filled with qi. It was extremely terrifying. It was enough to kill anyone in the ordinary martial realm, and even those below the fourth level of the spiritual martial realm. At this moment, the surrounding elders of the Elder Hall reacted. However, they were originally far away and could not stop it in time. Their hearts thumped. At this moment, a faint voice was heard. This voice did not seem to have the slightest emotion. It even had a hint of disdain. "Is this all you've got? Then, you can go to hell." This was Long Chen's voice. As the voice fell, a cold light flashed. The great elder's body suddenly stiffened in place as blood spurted out. Long Chen's body had appeared a few meters behind him. He stood in front of the Elder Hall. In his hand there was a bamboo stick that was red and dripping. How is it possible? How could he be so fast? The great elder knelt on the ground. His hands were powerless to cover his neck. His voice was getting lower and lower. Within the door frame, Qing Xian covered her mouth tightly, and she seemed to be stunned by this scene as well. That day, Long Chen had utilized this exact move to kill the silver-armored leopard, yet now, this attack was even swifter and more ruthless. And how did he do that? It was almost like teleportation. The scene was quiet for a moment. It was so quiet that it was terrifying. Many elders of the Elder Hall looked at Long Chen's figure and the bamboo stick in his hand. They only felt a chill down their spines. It was as if there was thunder roaring in their minds. They could not help but step back. Was this really the young master of the Long clan, Long Chen? A bamboo stick killed an expert at level 4 of the spiritual martial realm in an instant. This was beyond everyone's understanding. That lightning-fast speed just now, what was that all about? After a short silence, the second elder of the Elder Hall suddenly shouted coldly, "Seal!" As his voice fell, the faces of several elders behind him changed, and they quickly closed the courtyard door. Many of the elders' faces became gloomy. The second elder then walked to Long Chen's side and asked in a deep voice, "Are you still the young master of the Long clan?" His voice was unprecedentedly dignified. Hearing this, all the elders of the Elder Hall felt as if they were facing a great enemy. It was said that when a powerful expert reached the soul formation stage, his divine soul could reach the sky and even be immortal. After Long Chen returned from the land of inheritance, his cultivation and wisdom were far better than before. At this time, he killed an expert at level 4 of the spiritual martial realm in one move. They could not help but think this was the case. Looking at everyone's shocked expressions and their expressions, Long Chen shook his head and threw away the bamboo stick in his hand. The top-grade spiritual stone in his left hand had turned into stone chip. Then he said to the third elder, "If I remember correctly, you should be my third uncle. When I was 3 years old, you held me in your arms. Don't worry, third uncle. I'm still Long Chen, the young master of the Long clan." Chapter 11. Bloodline Oath. As the sun set, the sky was already dark. The courtyard where Long Chen was located was not quiet. More than 10 people in the Elder Hall heaved a sigh of relief after hearing Long Chen's answer. The dozens of young disciples of the Long family were shocked. Long Chen was still the Long Chen in front of them, but the cultivation that burst out in an instant made them tremble with fear. After a long silence, the second elder of the Elder Hall came forward and patted Long Chen's shoulder. He had thousands of questions in his heart, but he did not say anything. He only looked deeply at Long Chen, as if to confirm whether he was still the young master of the Long family. In the end, he abruptly turned around. His voice was filled with killing intent as he said coldly, "If the slightest bit of what happened in this courtyard is leaked out, it will bring an unprecedented disaster to my Long family. Do you understand?" As his voice fell, more than 10 people in the Elder Hall showed a dignified expression. Long Chen was in the ordinary martial realm. Killing a martial artist at the 4th level of the spiritual martial realm was a great opportunity from the land of inheritance a few days ago. This was the Long family's great fortune, but if the news spread out, it would bring the Long family the danger of being exterminated. The pros and cons could be imagined. Under the cold gazes of the elder hall, the dozens of disciples of the Long family looked at each other. There was no longer a trace of contempt in their eyes when they looked at Long Chen. Instead, there was an unprecedented seriousness in their eyes. Although they held a grudge because the Long family did not get any resources in the land of inheritance, they were still of the Long family's bloodline, so they knew the importance of this matter. Today, Long Chen's explosive battle strength meant that the Long family would definitely prosper and even dominate Iron Mountain City in the future. After a long while, a rather old disciple of the Long family took the lead and walked out. He took out a short knife in his right hand and cut a small cut on his fingertip, then wiped it between his eyebrows. Then, with an unprecedented, dignified and sincere expression, he said, "Long Yi swears by the Long family's bloodline that if the slightest bit of what happened today is leaked, I will suffer the pain of thousands of souls corroding my bones and will never be reincarnated. I, Long Ying, also swears by the Long family's bloodline today, and me." One by one, the young members of the Dragon Clan stood up. This bloodline oath was passed down from generation to generation. Once the oath was made, it could never be broken. No one knew if this oath would come true, but there would never be a member of the Dragon Clan who would break this oath. After everyone had made their oaths, the elders slowly opened the doors and allowed them to leave. After everyone left, the second elder began to search the first elder's body. Soon, he found a letter and a pill bottle. Reading the contents of the letter, the second elder's face gradually became gloomy, and the killing intent in his eyes intensified. This medicinal pill was most likely a gift from the Li clan. As for the letter, it was most likely a letter between the Li clan and the first elder. Under normal circumstances, it would be impossible for anyone to discover it. "Since you were the one who killed this traitor, you can keep this pill." The second elder did not even look at the contents of the pill bottle. He said to Long Chen, "I will spread the news that the first elder, Long Ying, and the others ambushed the young master of the Long family and were killed by the elders. Try to keep a low profile for the next few days. It's best if you pretend to be injured." The second elder looked deeply at Long Chen, then turned and left. He felt that the Long family would be completely changed because of Long Chen. However, he did not mention anything else. Everyone had their own secret. Once they were revealed, it would only increase the danger for everyone. In the next 3 days, Long Chen did not leave the Long family. However, the Iron Mountain City was in turmoil. This was because the Long family had found out the family that instigated the first elder to betray them. They were going to madly seek revenge. This caused many guest elders of the Li clan to return to the main family. All of this was because of the death of the first elder of the Long family's elders. While the Li clan was in a state of panic, Long Tianxing was in a towering rage in the Long family's meeting hall. The elder hall's move had completely confirmed the first elder's crime. Long Haotian did not even dare to breathe loudly. However, he was cursing the first elder in his heart. How could he do such a stupid thing? Now, not only did he lose the first elder's great help, it was also very likely that he would be suspected by the elder hall. This would cause his position in the Long family to plummet. It seems that the Li clan thinks that there is no one in the Long family. It seems that our Long family needs to be properly disciplined. All Long family shops in the city are prohibited from selling to the Li clan. All transactions are also suspended. The grand competition of the 3 cities is imminent. Fortunately, the young master is fine. Remember this matter for now. It is not suitable for a large-scale bloody battle. This debt the Li clan will pay with blood in the future. Also, thoroughly investigate everyone in the family. Anyone who has dealings with the Li clan and Gu clan will be included in the list of target. Once a problem is discovered, kill them on the spot. Because of the death of the first elder of the Long family's elder hall, the Long family and the Li clan fell into a state of tension. After the meeting, Long Chen's uncle, Long Haotian, could not sit still. If this continues, Long Tianxing's position will become more and more stable. My position will plummet instead. Sooner or later, I will be eliminated. The matter of the warm fragrance pavilion last time, did Li Su agree? Long Haotian's face was dark, and he looked very haggard. Originally, because of Long Chen's reputation as a trash, under the alliance of the Li clan and the Gu clan, the position of the Long family's patriarch was almost easily obtained. However, he did not expect that after Long Chen returned from the mountain range, everything had changed so drastically. Long Chen must die. Now we can only cut off all means of retreat. With the current situation of the Long family, only when Long Chen dies and Long Tianxing loses his mind will father be able to control the Long family. At that time, we can ally with the Li clan and the Gu clan to get everything back on track. Long Xing said in a deep voice. Now that the Long family was thoroughly investigating everyone's relationship with the outside world, the father and son could not help but feel a chill in their hearts. Report. Just as Long Haotian and his father were talking, a shout came from outside the door. Hearing this person's voice, Long Xing's face suddenly became happy. Long Haotian hurriedly walked out of the secret room and opened the door. Long Xing anxiously asked, "Did Long Chen go out?" "Yes, young master asked me to wait in front of the Long family's main gate for a long time. Today, Long Chen finally went out, so I immediately came to inform young master." This servant had a flattering expression, but he was not from the Long family. "This is what you deserve. You know what to do from now on, right?" Long Xing raised his hand and threw out a money bag, warning in a cold voice. I understand. After today, I will return to my hometown and will not appear in Iron Mountain City." This servant was overjoyed and hurriedly left. Long Xing and his father looked at each other and saw the joy in each other's eyes. Long Haotian said, "Pass the news to Li Su. This is our last hope. As long as Long Chen dies, then we can turn defeat into victory." On the other side, on a wide street, Long Chen and Qing Xian leisurely walked, quite a handsome man and a beautiful woman. However, the people around them were pointing and whispering, and their words were none other than Long Chen, the trash young master. Because the Long family did not take a single bit of the immortal's inheritance resources in his trial ground, this matter caused him, who was originally infamous in Iron Mountain City, to become the topic of gossip. "Young master, why are you in such a hurry to improve your strength? The spirit medicine in the dual field is not easy to obtain." Qing Xian walked beside Long Chen, turning a blind eye to the gazes of the people around them. It seemed that only Long Chen was in her eyes. As for Long Chen, he was even more unperturbed. He directly chose to use his powerful divine sense to block out the gossip. Today was the first time he went out after returning from the Immortal's Cave. He did not want to be spoiled by these passers-by. Chapter 12. On the battle stage, Haitian Chamber of Commerce was located in the west of Iron Mountain City, covering an area of 10,000 square meters. It did not belong to any family in Iron Mountain City, but it had an extremely high status in Iron Mountain City. Such a large-scale chamber of commerce could be found in every city. There were all kinds of businesses in the Chamber of Commerce, whether it was weapons, pills, or arrays, they were all involved. Among them, the Haitian Duel Arena was the most famous. The Duel Arena brought in countless profits for the Haitian Chamber of Commerce. In the past few days, they had made a lot of money, and the challenge tournament was several times more developed than before. The reason was that the Three Cities tournament was approaching, and a few days ago in the Immortal's Cave, the four great families had obtained elixir resources. Now that I have reached the third level of the mortal martial realm, the family only gave me 3 stalks of blood-clotting grass. If I get twice as much, I can attack the 4th level of the mortal martial realm. At that time, I may be able to represent the Gu family in the Three Cities tournament. Humph, 3rd level of the mortal martial realm? Why don't you give me the blood-clotting grass in your hands, and I can attack the 5th level of the mortal martial realm? Wouldn't that be better? Bullshit on the battle stage. The duel arena was noisy and the road was crowded. Long Chen and Qing Xian walked to the side of a long stage with great difficulty. A middle-aged man in luxurious clothes came up to them and said, "Do you want to enter your name to participate in the duel?" "Yes, I am Long Chen, please enter my name into the list." Long Chen replied. "Long Chen?" The middle-aged man's right hand, which was holding a brush, suddenly stopped. He frowned and said in a deep voice, "You are the Long family's waste." "Young master, Long Chen?" The middle-aged man suddenly felt that something was wrong, so he quickly changed his word. Long Chen did not mind and asked with a smile, "What, I can't participate in the duel?" "It's possible, but I still hope that you'll consider it carefully. Although it's a battle of attrition, swords and sabers have no eyes. Who knows if you'll lose your life?" The meaning of the middle-aged man's words was self-evident. Long Chen's reputation among the younger generation of Iron Mountain City had spread far and wide. Everyone knew that he was only at the first level of the mortal martial realm, and the Long family's patriarch, Long Tianxing, was famous for being protective of his son. Although the sea-sky commerce was not afraid of any family, they did not want to cause trouble for no reason. After all, in his eyes, if Long Chen stepped onto the stage, he was afraid that only defeat awaited him. "I'm sure. Please enter it." Long Chen didn't want to waste any more time. The middle-aged man shook his head helplessly. His right hand slowly entered Long Chen's name. In his heart, he secretly thought that this young master of the Long family was far worse than the rumors said. Not only was he a good-for-nothing, he was also a stupid playboy. He actually treated the duel arena as a place to play. The registration fee is 500 taels of silver, and there is no limit to the amount of money you can bet. Do you agree? Also, in the dueling arena, the highest cultivation level cannot exceed the 7th level of the mortal martial realm, which is the late stage of the mortal martial realm. You don't need to care about this requirement. Agree. The middle-aged man didn't speak any more nonsense. He directly entered the name. Soon, above the dueling arena's name board, there was one more name. Impressively, it was Long Chen. When the name board appeared, there were immediately some sharp-eyed people who saw Long Chen's name. Suddenly, the younger generation of the major families in the Iron Mountain City burst into an uproar. "Long Chen? Is that Long Chen from the Long family? He actually came to the Ocean Sky dueling arena? That good-for-nothing? What did he come to the dueling arena for? A few days ago, I heard that he almost died in his own family. Is he tired of living? This may be a good thing. After all, he is the young master of the Long family. I'm afraid he has a lot of good things on him." Long Chen's name had only appeared for a short while, but it had already become a hot commodity in the dueling arena. Everyone felt that he certainly had some benefits on him. Qing Xian, who was standing beside Long Chen, couldn't help but frown. She wanted to stand up and explain to the crowd that Long Chen was no longer the good-for-nothing trash of the first level of the mortal martial realm. Long Chen, however, had a smile on his face. He pulled her back and lightly said, "It's okay. In a while they will regret it. Today we should be able to gain a lot." An old man slowly walked out from the spectator stands around the dueling arena. He was dressed in silk and satin and his silver hair was tied up. He looked very refreshing. The old man walked a few steps and couldn't help but be attracted by the noise below. He casually asked, "Why is it so noisy below? Who is this Long Chen that they are talking about?" "Old Lu, this Long Chen is just the young master of the Long family. Because his cultivation has been stuck at the first level of the mortal martial realm since he started cultivating, he has been called a good-for-nothing. I didn't expect that today he would come to participate in the dueling arena." There were several middle-aged men standing around the refreshing old man. Several of them were dressed as high-level members of the Haitian Chamber of Commerce. Each of them had the cultivation of the spirit martial realm, but when facing the old man, they were quite respectful. It was enough to see that the old man's status was not low. When the refreshing old man heard this, he suddenly lost interest. He only thought that it was a playboy. He lightly said, "Is the alchemy room ready? I have an old relationship with the Lin family. I promised to be a guest in their family for 10 days. I will refine pills for them and try my best to improve their younger generation's cultivation in the great competition of the 3 cities. Borrowing the alchemy room of the Haitian Chamber of Commerce is really a bit of a bother. I don't dare. Old Lou is a spirit-level alchemist. It is my honor to refine pills in my Haitian Chamber of Commerce. This way, please." When the people on the side heard that the old man was a spirit-level alchemist, they also had a look of reverence. Alchemists were different from ordinary martial artists. Their strength may not be strong, but their influence and status were far beyond ordinary martial artists. They were existences that all forces wanted to recruit. After this small episode, some people on the dueling arena had already set their sights on Long Chun. After a young disciple of the Lin family defeated a third-level mortal martial realm opponent, he sneered and pointed at Long Chun from afar and shouted, "Young master of the Long family, since you are already registered, why don't you come on stage? How about we make a bet?" Shwa shwa. With this person's finger, everyone's eyes fell on Long Chun. Even the people on the other 2 dueling arenas cast their eyes over. The corners of Long Chen's mouth curled into a smile. He secretly thought that because in the land of inheritance, other than the Long family, the other 3 families had obtained a lot of resources. Otherwise, there would not be so many young disciples appearing in the dueling arena. I must hide my strength and obtain as many spirit herbs as possible. Since there is an alchemy room here, I can also find an opportunity to refine pills. After all, the effect of pills is far better than directly taking spirit herbs. Moreover, after obtaining the Li family ancestors' alchemy inheritance, I have not really refined any pills. Long Chen leisurely walked onto the dueling arena, but in his heart he was thinking about what to do next. There is still nearly a month until the 3 cities tournament. At that time, I should be able to step into the spirit martial realm. Once I step into the spirit martial realm, I will have the absolute ability to protect myself in Iron Mountain City. As for the Gu family disciple who was at the peak of the 3rd level of the mortal martial realm, he really did not care. Although he was only at the 4th level of the spirit martial realm, he relied on the primal chaos golden codex and the great emperor's body to condense 8 martial veins. His strength was comparable to the 8th level of the mortal martial realm. Chapter 13. Did I win? Outside Haitian commerce, Li Su and 2 men appeared in a shadowy corner of the street. The 2 middle-aged men behind him stared at Haitian commerce, then frowned and said in a deep voice, "Young master, do you want to ask the master about this matter? Now the Long family and my Li family are like fire and water. I'm afraid, because of the current situation, we should kill Long Chun, otherwise how could that trash Long Haotian become the patriarch of the Long family? If he can't take the position, then the Long family will always be invulnerable. Father is thinking too much. Since I promised you 2 to follow me, you don't need to say anything more. He is just a 1st-level mortal martial realm trash. Wait until nightfall, find a place where no one is and kill him in 1 blow. Long Chen is a small matter, but after his death, if Long Tianqing crazily counterattacks..." The other middle-aged man couldn't help but remind, "Don't say anything more. At that time, if Long Tianqing starts a war with my Li family, the Li family and the Gu family will join hands and not be afraid of him. If you don't want to stay here, then quickly get lost. However, if anyone dares to tell father, then don't blame me for being ruthless." The 2 middle-aged men finally shook their heads and no longer spoke. They only hoped that Long Chen didn't have any Long family elders secretly guarding him. In this way, killing a 1st-level mortal martial realm trash at an extremely fast speed was not impossible. Haitian commerce's background is quite deep, we can't make a move inside. If we go inside, we will only alert the enemy. After nightfall, the Long family will definitely pass by. Inside Haitian commerce, the decisive battle stage was now 3 layers inside and 3 layers outside. The noise was unceasing. Long Chen, this guy actually dares to go on stage? The one who was just defeated by Gu Chong was Li Hu. That Li Hu was only at the 3rd level of the mortal martial realm, and was only able to take 10 moves. Isn't this guy looking for a beating? Gu Chong, this time I'm afraid he made a big profit. I didn't expect him to reach the 4th level of the mortal martial realm. Originally he had 2 spirit herbs, but now he also won the 2 from Li Hu. Now he can get some from Long Tianxing. In a month's time, he may be able to break through to the 5th level. At that time, the 3 cities tournament will be able to obtain a spot from the family. After all this time, this Long Chen is here to deliver warmth. I was wondering why this trash would come to the duel arena, haha. As soon as Long Chen stepped onto the fighting ring, mocking voices rose one after another. Some people even felt that it was a mistake not to challenge Long Chen for the sake of face. No matter what, this guy was the young master of the Long clan. He was a complete fat sheep. Below the stage, Qing Xian was so angry that she thought to herself, "Young master is going to scare you to death." On the stage, Long Chen touched his nose, and a faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He stared at Gu Chong on the stage and waved his hand. "I just want to broaden my horizons. Let's just make a bet." Some of the people below the stage couldn't help but sneer. The middle-aged man who originally helped Long Chen to hang his name on the stage couldn't help but shake his head. He even began to consider whether or not to kick Long Chen out. This guy actually came to the decisive battle stage to play. Furthermore, he was the young master of the Long family, a first-level mortal martial realm martial artist. If he died here, it would be troublesome. Just make a bet? Then let's play. Young Master Long, look at these 4 spirit herbs. Not only that, I am injured, but also 2,000 silver taels. Presumably, these things are not valuable in the eyes of the young master of the Long family. How about we just make a bet outside of the battle? Gu Chong looked at Long Chen condescendingly. His eyes were full of disdain. He was ranked 2nd in the younger generation of the Gu family, but it was difficult for him to get a place to participate in the grand tournament of the 3 cities. Therefore, he came here to make a final effort to improve his cultivation. He looked down on Long Chen, who was obviously a trash but was still the young master of the Long family. Today, he was going to slaughter this fat sheep. Poochie! The audience suddenly burst into laughter. This Gu Chong wanted to bet all of his wealth to make a big profit in one go. Gu Chong, you should at least leave some for us. If this goes on, he will be emptied by you. What are we going to bet on? What are you afraid of, the young master of the Long family? How can he lack these things? Ha! Long Chen looked at the 4 spirit herbs and pretended to be in a difficult position. He seemed to ask with difficulty, "Why don't we just bet 2,000 silver taels? I don't have any spirit herbs on me. I only have 1 pill." Pill? Pill is better. Gu Chong sneered. It was obvious that he had Long Chen under his control. Long Chen's expression was very helpless. In the end, he stretched out his hand and took out a pill bottle. This pill bottle contained the turtle year pill that he had obtained from the Great Elder. It could increase one's lifespan by 3 years. Although it was not a pill that could increase one's strength, its value was definitely not low. 4 spirit herbs to bet on 1 pill? This Long Chen was simply a fool. Although the audience did not know what pill was in the bottle, under normal circumstances, as long as it was a pill, its value would be far greater than the 4 spirit herbs. Gu Chong was simply using a small amount to win a big amount. Then we can only do this, please be lenient. Long Chen stood at the edge of the stage and said. Gu Chong sneered. His eyes fell on the pill bottle. He was afraid that Lin Feng would regret, so he suddenly rushed out like a cheetah. Stupid waste, get lost. I Gu Chong will accept these things. Soon after, his right fist directly bombarded Long Chen's right shoulder. In a flash, 3 fist shadows appeared. Gu Chong did not hold back. If this shadow-splitting fist hit Zhongran, even if he was at the 3rd level of the mortal martial realm, he would have to lie in bed for 10 days to half a month. If Long Chen was really a waste at the 1st level of the mortal martial realm, then he would have to suffer a lot. Unfortunately, today's Long Chen was no longer the waste he used to be. Under his previous life's dominator's divine sense, Long Chen saw that Gu Chong's fist was full of loopholes. It was flashy but not practical. The fist was casual and full of flaws due to underestimating the enemy. Long Chen's mouth flashed a faint playful smile. He did not make a move. Seeing that Gu Chong's fist shadows were about to land on his shoulder, he actually hugged his head and shrank to the side. His right foot quickly stretched out without leaving a trace. This action simply shocked everyone. This was the decisive battle stage. Even if you were a waste, you should at least make a move. What was the meaning of hugging your head? Ouch. However, what happened next made everyone stunned. A burly man who was eating directly spat out his food. Gu Chong's body suddenly lost balance and fell straight down the stage. Gu Chong was defeated. Everyone's jaws almost fell to the ground. Their mouths were wide enough to stuff 2 eggs. Gu Chong did not stand firm and directly fell from the stage. I won. Long Chen raised his head at this time. With a flattered look, he said, Brother Lin, how could you be so careless and fall down? Below the stage, Gu Chong's face was full of blood. He fell face first onto the hard ground. Hearing Long Chen's words and looking at the 4 spirit herbs in front of him, he could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Chapter 14. Li family's Li Su Gu Chong's foot slipped and he accidentally fell off the stage. How lucky was he? However, this made the audience excited again. They all stared at the elixirs and banknotes, wanting to rush onto the stage. At this time, a Gu family disciple jumped onto the stage because he was the closest to the stage. His face was full of excitement. Who would have thought that I, Lin Yun, would have such luck? With a flushed face, he looked at the bets beside Long Chen and laughed heartily. The people around were all pounding their chests and stamping their feet. They were angry that they had been beaten to the stage. Why didn't they stand at the side of the stage from the beginning? But who would have thought that Gu Chong would slip and fall off the stage? This was a big fat piece of meat. Here are 3 portions of bone refining powder. I'll bet the most worthless elixir you have. With a smile on his face, he completely regarded Long Chen as a fool. The crowd sighed and secretly cursed him for being shameless. How much was his 3 portions of bone refining powder worth? They were probably only worth 2 elixirs. He actually wanted to take away Long Chen's elixir. At the same time, many people's eyes fell on Long Chen's remaining elixirs. They crowded around the stage, waiting to defeat Long Chen so that they could rush onto the stage and challenge Long Chen again. This was the rule of the duel arena. As long as the name was recorded, anyone could go on stage to challenge. They could only withdraw after accepting at least 3 battles. Seeing that Long Chen had agreed, he smiled happily. He felt that he was very lucky today. His strength was not as good as Gu Chong's, but in his eyes, Long Chen's victory was only due to luck. At this moment, he just needed to win steadily and not fall off the stage. As he spoke, he slowly walked towards Long Chen. Then, his right fist directly hammered towards Long Chen's face. When he punched, his lower body was as steady as Mount Tai, as if he was afraid that his foot would slip. The scene was quite comical. Bang! Seeing that the fist was about to land on Long Chen's body, he casually moved to the side and his right hand casually slapped his own arm. This punch was like a cramp and actually landed solidly on the right side of his face. Plop! Half of his face was swollen like a pig's head, and he was unconscious. This time, the surroundings suddenly quieted down. What was going on? It was one thing for the first one to slip off the stage and fall flat on his face, but what was going on with the second one? Everyone was speechless for a moment. However, there were also some people who felt that something was amiss. After the crushing defeat, the crowd finally didn't rush up the stage rashly. Everyone's eyes fell on the battle stage. Even a pebble was peeled off to take a look, fearing that there would be another accident in the future. At this moment, a burly man with dark skin and a body like a small mountain walked down from the other side of the battle stage. The man's body was full of muscles and his limbs were huge like a giant ape. That person stared at Long Chen and said, "That slap of yours was so fast. It seems like the rumor that the young master of the Long clan is a piece of trash at the first level of the Ling martial realm is not true. Even if you are really a piece of trash at the first level of the Ling martial realm, to be able to cultivate at such a speed, I'm afraid you must have suffered a lot. Ordinary martial artists at the third or fourth level of the Ling martial realm are definitely not your opponent." Long Chen's eyebrows slightly raised. He didn't expect that there would be someone who saw him fight. Long Chen also noticed this person. He was the person who won consecutively on the other battle stage. He was born with divine strength and was almost invincible in the same level of the mortal martial realm. Giant beast Lin Man. Lin Man actually wants to challenge him. It is said that Lin Man is already at the 5th level of the mortal martial realm. If he wasn't the illegitimate son of a maid and a branch of the Lin clan, he would definitely be able to get a spot in the great competition of the 3 cities. Now that he is going to challenge him, Long Chen will definitely lose. Sure enough, there is something fishy. This Long clan trash actually practiced some kind of movement martial skill, and I'm afraid he practiced it for many years. This brat is actually playing with us, but what can he do now? In front of absolute power, his speed is just a child's play. At this time, a man and a woman walked in from the entrance of the duel arena. The man was handsome and held a feather fan, covering his nose and mouth. He frowned and said to the graceful woman beside him, "Junior sister Li Su, I don't know why alchemist Lu insisted on coming to the alchemy room of the Sea Sky Commerce. My Gu clan personally prepared a place for him to refine pills. This Sea Sky alchemy room is actually built next to the duel arena. This smell is really disgusting. Big brother Feiyu, alchemist Lu's status is honorable. If it weren't for your Lin clan's kindness, he wouldn't have come to Iron Mountain City. When the time comes, you should recommend him to me." The woman was wearing a Chong Sam. Her round thighs swayed in the air, giving her a charming feeling. "And? Isn't the one lying on the ground your cousin? Why is he so miserable?" The man and woman were originally prepared to go to the alchemy room from the side, but the woman's words made the elegant man stop in his tracks. His complexion became gloomy and he secretly felt ashamed. He said in a low voice, "This brat, I told him many times not to come to this kind of place, but he didn't listen." As he spoke, he covered his mouth and nose with his feather fan and walked towards Lin Man and Long Chen's fighting stage. The surrounding people also noticed this gorgeous and elegant man. Soon after, their eyes trembled and they made way for him. Isn't this the Lin clan's second young master? With his status, wasn't the Gu clan's resources given to him for free use? What is he doing here? This is really strange. Lin Feiyu and his brother are the Gu clan's seeded contestants in the grand competition of the 3 cities. It is said that the 2 brothers took up 50% of the resources given to them. Lin Feiyu's cultivation has even reached the 6th level of the mortal martial realm. The surrounding people suddenly sucked in a breath of cold air. 6th level of the mortal martial realm. Every major clan's disciples around the age of 20 could reach the 6th level of the mortal martial realm. This kind of person would almost certainly reach the spirit martial realm after the age of 25. They were the family's mainstays. Lin Feiyu walked to the side of the unconscious man and kicked his shoulder. "Cousin, why are you here?" At this moment, Lin Yun, who was thrown on the ground, got up from the ground in a daze. Seeing Lin Feiyu standing beside him, he couldn't help but feel guilty. Who beat you up like this? Lin Feiyu's face was cold as he asked in a low voice. Xiao Chen held his swollen face with an ashamed expression. He stammered, I don't know either. I clearly wanted to defeat Long Chen with one punch. However, I ended up punching myself in the face. Long Chen? Lin Feiyu's face suddenly froze. He asked in disbelief, You mean the Long clan's first level of the mortal martial realm trash, Long Chen? Chapter 15. Sowing discord. Lin Feiyu had always had a good impression of Li Su, the daughter of the Li family's third master. Today, he purposely used the excuse of visiting alchemist Lu to invite her here. However, he didn't expect to see someone from the Gu family being beaten to the ground. And the one who defeated him was the useless young master of the Long family, Long Chen. When Li Su heard Long Chen's name, her eyes flashed with coldness. She chuckled and said to Lin Feiyu, You punched yourself in the face? And your opponent is the useless Long family. It seems that the difference between your Lin family and the Long family is too big. Lin Feiyu suddenly felt embarrassed. He felt that he had lost all his face today. He looked at Long Chen with a gloomy face and shouted, Lin man, break this useless leg for me. I'll bear all the consequences. Lin man stared at Lin Feiyu with a hint of fear in her eyes. She was obviously very afraid of him. She turned her head and looked at Long Chen. I originally wanted to play with you. You can only blame your bad luck. However, it's better to fight with me than to lose to Lin Feiyu. Long Chen didn't comment. His playful expression disappeared and was replaced with a cold smile. However, it wasn't directed at Lin Man, but at Lin Feiyu. To be more precise, it was directed at the long-legged woman in the qipao, Li Su. In his previous life, the Li family and the Gu family joined forces. Even though Li Tian obtained the inheritance, it was not easy to destroy the Long family in a short period of time. After all, there were 4 families in the Iron Mountain City, and the Lin family had always been neutral. This made the Li family and the Gu family afraid of them. However, in the end, the reason why the Lin family compromised with the Li family and the Gu family was because of this charming woman in front of him. This woman looked beautiful, but in fact, she was very scheming. She played Lin Feiyu in the palm of her hand and sowed discord between him and the Long family. In the end, she even got engaged with Lin Feiyu. However, on the eve of the wedding, there was a rumor that she was forcefully taken by Long Chen. This caused the Lin family to completely break with the Long family, and Long Chen became a thorn in the flesh in the eyes of the Lin family. In his previous life, Long Chen's position in the Long family was extremely low. Later on, Long Tianqing had to hand over the position of patriarch to him. How could he, a first-level mortal martial realm martial artist, forcefully possess Li Su, a fourth-level mortal martial realm martial artist? However, no matter how he tried to explain, it was useless. There were even rumors that he and Long Xingtian had worked together to destroy Long Tianqing's reputation. This matter had always been a thorn in his heart. In my previous life, I actually believed that this woman could help my Long family. I was really stupid, and in the end I was framed. Long Chen laughed at himself. When Lin Man saw that Long Chen was distracted, his face immediately darkened. He secretly thought that Long Chen only had a slight advantage in speed. How could he dare to be so careless? In his anger, his fists danced, and his body leaned forward abruptly. It was as if Mount Tai was pressing down on Long Chen. Iron Mountain Lean. Barbarian Lin's attack was powerful and heavy. It contained a force of more than 600 jin. Especially when his mountain-like body suddenly pressed down, it directly sealed off all of Long Chen's escape routes. Barbarian Lin attacked from both sides simultaneously. Lin Man was born with divine strength. This originally ordinary Iron Mountain Lean could even break a tree that required 2 people to wrap their arms around. When Lin Feiyu saw this scene, a smile appeared on his face. He looked at Li Su arrogantly and said, "This Long Chen must have had a fortuitous encounter in the mountain range. However, compared to my Lin family, he is just a jumping clown." "Lin Yun must have been sneakily attacked by him," Li Su nodded. Looking at Lin Man's terrifying attack, it was as if he could already see Long Chen's half-dead end. He couldn't help but smile. The surrounding people also shook their head. They secretly thought that this time, Long Chen, this fat piece of meat, would be completely eaten up. Lin Man was the winning general in this duel. However, Long Chen's originally miserable scream did not come out. Lin Man's powerful attack actually hit the air. "He's behind me. What a fast speed!" Lin Man's complexion greatly changed. He quickly turned sideways and blasted out another punch, bringing along bursts of wind. However, this punch hit the air again. Pa pa pa! Lin Man struck 3 times in a row, but all of them hit empty space. Then he stood there in a daze. After a moment, he shook his head and bitterly smiled. "Then everything I won on the battle stage is yours. I lost this battle, although the crowd did not see it." He knew that Long Chen was merciful. Not only did Long Chen avoid his 3 attacks, but he also quickly hit his fatal acupuncture points 3 times. If he wanted to attack, he would die without a doubt. The crowd was in an uproar. The whole scene suddenly boiled up. Is this true? Lin Man actually admitted defeat. Why did he admit defeat? He obviously hasn't lost yet. The Long family's trash young master actually has such a fast speed. It seems that he is not a complete waste. Everyone knows that he is in the first level of the mortal martial realm. It has only been a month since the last time he was tested. Even if he is talented, reaching the 3rd level of the mortal martial realm is already his limit. Maybe he obtained some quick-speed martial skill from the land of inheritance. The entire Ocean Sky duel arena was filled with discussions. Everyone was guessing Long Chen's strength. Silence. Following Lin Feiyu's sudden roar, the surroundings quieted down. He then asked Lin Man in a cold voice, "Why did you admit defeat?" "He only learned some unorthodox technique. With your strength, no matter how fast he is, how can he win?" Lin Man heard Lin Feiyu's question and did not know how to answer. He was not willing to reveal his own martial skills. He only replied, "I can't win against him. It is meaningless to continue fighting." After he finished speaking, he left the Ocean Sky duel arena without looking back. He only took a deep look at Long Chen. He secretly thought that if this person was a waste, then the entire younger generation of Iron Mountain City was a waste. "Yo, big brother Feiyu, I didn't expect your Lin family's brother to be worse than a waste. He left without even touching him?" Li Su shook his head. Lin Feiyu's face suddenly turned purple. Originally, he had boasted that Lin Man could easily crush Long Chen. He did not expect that Lin Man would admit defeat in the blink of an eye. "Li Su, why don't you come up and give it a try?" Long Chen looked at Li Su's face. He could not help but clench his fists behind his back. He felt a surge of anger in his heart. Li Su took a deep look at Long Chen. She felt that Long Chen seemed to have changed into a different person today. He was showing off his abilities. He was very different from the young master of the Long family. "Big brother Feiyu, let's go. We don't need to lower ourselves to the same level as this person. It would be bad if he hurt you. Alchemist Lu is still waiting for us." Li Su's words immediately made Lin Feiyu, who was already angry, furious. Long Chen took a deep look at Li Su. He secretly thought that this woman was not as easy to deal with as he thought. Lin Feiyu directly jumped onto the stage and shouted, "Just him? This waste of a young master from the Long family? How can he hurt me?" Chapter 16. Victory without a fight. Seeing Lin Feiyu rush to the stage, the surrounding people suddenly burst into an uproar. Lin Feiyu was the 2nd young master of the Lin family, and his strength had reached the 6th level of the mortal martial realm. Even in the entire Iron Mountain City's younger generation, he was considered one of the top experts. He actually went on stage to challenge Long Chen, who was originally called Trash. Long Chen frowned slightly. If he were to fight with Lin Feiyu now, it would be the same as falling into Li Su's trap. Lin Feiyu would definitely pursue him relentlessly, and the relationship between the Lin clan and the Long clan would definitely worsen. But looking at Lin Feiyu, Long Chen was somewhat helpless. He could only teach him a good lesson. At the same time, the Oceanic Sky battle stage's nameplate holder's face was somewhat ugly. He secretly wondered what was going on today. Why did the two young masters of the two families come to the battle stage for no reason? But when he looked at Lin Feiyu, his face suddenly sank. He jumped onto the stage and stopped him. "Young Master Lin, don't break the rules. If I'm not wrong, your cultivation has already broken through to the 7th level of the Mortal Martial Realm, and stepped into the late stage of the Mortal Martial Realm." What? Lin Feiyu is already at the 7th level of the Mortal Martial Realm. 7th level of the Mortal Martial Realm. I didn't expect Lin Feiyu to have reached this level of strength. But thinking about it, he is already at the 6th level of the Mortal Martial Realm. During this time, the Lin family obtained many elixirs, so it is reasonable for him to break through. 7th level of the Mortal Martial Realm, so the Lin family will definitely shine in the grand tournament of the 3 cities. They should have a chance to stand out. This Long Chen's luck is not bad. If he fights with this strength, I'm afraid he will definitely die. The middle-aged man's words suddenly made the surrounding people exclaim. They did not expect Lin Feiyu to have reached the 7th level of the Mortal Martial Realm. Lin Feiyu was stopped by the middle-aged man, but his face was extremely unhappy. He stared at Lin Feng and said, "Today you are lucky, but it is unknown whether a trash like you can participate in the grand tournament of the 3 cities. If you participate, I will definitely show you the gap between us. Trash will always be trash." Long Chen coldly snorted. He could not help but be slightly angry. Did this guy really think he was weak? Lin Feng jumped off the stage, stared at Lin Feiyu and coldly said, "The gap between you and me? Right now, I want to see how a private duel between the two of us will go." The middle-aged man who blocked Lin Feiyu on the stage was stunned. He thought to himself, is Long Chen crazy? Didn't he hear Lin Feiyu's strength? Mortal Martial Realm 7th level. Did I hear wrongly? Long Chen wants to have a private duel with Lin Feiyu? He really thinks he's invincible. 7th level of the Mortal Martial Realm, that is the 7th level of the Mortal Martial Realm. A few days ago, he was just a 1st level of the Mortal Martial Realm trash. Even if he has some strength now, how could he defeat Lin Feiyu, who is at the 7th level of the Mortal Martial Realm? You're courting death. You've only cultivated some sort of movement martial skill, yet you're so arrogant. Everyone around looked at Long Chen as if they were looking at an idiot. Did this guy lose his mind? Originally, Long Chen wanted to avoid a direct confrontation with Lin Feiyu to prevent Li Su from provoking him. However, after thinking about it, he laughed at himself. Why should he be so troubled? As long as he stepped into the spiritual martial realm before the 3 cities competition, he would be able to sweep away the 3 big families in the Iron Mountain City. Right now, what he needed the most was time and resources. Once he stepped into the spiritual martial realm, there would be no more threats in the Iron Mountain City. You want to have a private duel with me? Lin Feiyu couldn't believe his ears. He stared at Long Chen and confirmed, "You trash want to have a private duel with me." He seemed to have heard the biggest joke in the world. Li Su on the side sneered and his face flashed a complacent look. Today, with just a few casual words, Lin Feiyu could beat Long Chen half to death. This was more profitable than a business deal. There's a turtle year pill here, 18 spirit herbs, 3 bags of bone refining powder, and 6,000 taels of silver. Not only do I want to have a private duel with you, but I also want to have a good bet. After his thoughts were clear, Long Chen thought that since he was going to fight, he had to ruthlessly take advantage of this guy. The more resources he had, the faster he could reach the spiritual martial realm and have the ability to protect himself. Lin Feiyu's face turned sluggish. He immediately laughed and shouted, "Good! As long as you beat me, I'll personally deliver everything to Inner Dragon's doorstep. Everyone here can testify that I, Lin Feiyu, will do what I say." Obviously, Lin Feiyu didn't bring so many things. However, he wasn't worried because in his heart, it was impossible for him to lose. In the entire Iron Mountain City's younger generation, there were less than a handful of people who were stronger than him. And Long Chen, this trash, was definitely not one of them. Seeing Lin Feiyu solemnly swear that the private duel had nothing to do with him, the middle-aged man could only helplessly shake his head and finally retreat to the side. Lin Feiyu? The clamor seemed to have reached the alchemy room. It was unknown when Elder Lu had appeared in the corner of the spectator stands on the second floor. He looked down from afar and seemed to be interested in the fight between the two. A person in charge of the Sea-Sky Commerce quickly greeted him and said, "If they disturb Alchemist Lu's peace, I'll stop them." "It's okay. Nephew Lin took my pill a while ago and broke through to the 7th level of the mortal martial realm. And this trash of the Long family actually wants to challenge him. It's really interesting." Seeing that old Lu was bored to death, this person didn't say anything more. On the other side, the surrounding people looked like they were going to watch a good show. They spread out and left a space of more than 10 meters for Long Chen and Lin Feiyu. "Let's fight, I can't wait. Fight! Fight!" In the loud and clear shouts, the feather fan in Lin Feiyu's right hand turned into a cold light and attacked Long Chen. Unexpectedly, it was like a jumping snake. It was very strange. Not only that, but its power was also surprisingly strong. Every attack made a burst of sound like beans being fried. The 7th level of the mortal martial realm was fully displayed. Long Chen, who was standing on the side of the stage, sneered. His body moved and directly dodged. The ribs of the feather fan smashed onto the battle stage, and half a meter of the green stone battle stage actually shattered. Everyone was shocked and exclaimed. Lin Feiyu frowned. Long Chen actually dodged his full-strength attack? He secretly thought that this guy really practiced some kind of unorthodox shortcut movement skill. After a cold snort, Lin Feiyu's speed became even faster. His body was like a phantom. In an instant, a cold light like a rainstorm covered the sky and earth. Long Chen's eyes flashed. He stared at Lin Feiyu's chest thoughtfully, and the corner of his mouth revealed a playful smile. Immediately, he didn't have any intention to make a move because Lin Feiyu had already lost. Chapter 17. Deadly Medicinal Pill. Seeing that Long Chen had no intention to fight, the crowd booed. Sure enough, this Long Chen is completely relying on his speed to fool people. I'm afraid his cultivation is at most 2nd or 3rd level of the mortal martial realm. Do you dare to take a punch? What's the point of hiding like this? That's not right. Look at Lin Feiyu's face. There seems to be a problem. The crowd also realized that something was wrong. Long Chen obviously did not make a move, but Lin Feiyu looked like he was seriously injured. Just as the crowd finished talking, Long Chen's figure suddenly flashed, and his fist collided with Lin Feiyu's. Bang! Lin Feiyu's whole body retreated a few steps, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His whole body was gasping for breath, as if he had lost all his strength. How could this be? What happened to me? Lin Feiyu's face was full of fear as he clutched his chest, as if he was enduring an unprecedented pain. Did you take a fierce flame pill recently? Does your chest feel like it's being burned by a raging fire, and it also feels like it's being pierced by ice? The pain is unbearable. At this moment, Long Chen said faintly. Following his words, Lin Feiyu spat out a mouthful of blood, and his eyes were full of horror. At the same time, on the 2nd floor, Alchemist Lu's eyebrows suddenly wrinkled, and he stared at Long Chen in disbelief. Lin Feiyu said in shock, How did you know I took a fierce flame pill? How do you know what I'm feeling now?" Just as Long Chen said, a few days ago, he received a fierce flame pill from Alchemist Lu, and he took it to break through to the 6th level of the mortal martial realm. These days, his chest was faintly stuffy, but he did not care. Today, Long Chen's words made him suddenly realize. There's no problem with the fierce flame pill, but some kind of cold and gloomy qi has accumulated in your body. Although you broke through to the next level, the cold and heat are conflicting. I'm afraid you can't use your strength for at least half a month, or your martial veins will be broken, Long Chen said seriously. The fierce flame dan was the most common pill used by the late stages of the mortal martial realm to break through to the next realm. Its medicinal properties were extremely strong, but its effects were very good. As someone who had obtained the elixir inheritance, his understanding of the elixir path was probably second to none. With his powerful divine sense, he immediately sensed the strange aura coming from Lin Feiyu's chest. He was even more certain that Lin Feiyu had consumed the fiery elixir. Lin Feiyu took a few steps back and cried out involuntarily, "You! How did you know that I was poisoned when I was hunting demonic beasts half a month ago? And how did you know that I took the fiery pill?" Seeing this, the onlookers had strange expressions on their faces. They didn't expect Long Chen to actually win. Also, what was with this affirmation? Could it be that he already knew that Lin Feiyu's body was unwell and had already investigated the pill he took? What the hell was this? At this moment, Alchemist Lu's face suddenly darkened. He jumped down and landed next to Lin Feiyu. "Nephew Lin, why didn't you tell me that you've been poisoned with cold poison? Why didn't you tell me earlier? You almost made a huge mistake. Here's a meridian solidifying pill. Take it first." As Alchemist Lu spoke, a pill appeared in his hand. However, when the pill appeared, Long Chen frowned. He couldn't help but shake his head and laugh. Alchemist Lu's hand froze in the air. He stared at Long Chen and said, "What are you laughing at? Do you have a problem with this pill? Don't be rude." At this moment, a manager of the Oceanic Sky Trading Company stood up and shouted at Long Chen, "This is a spirit-tier alchemist from the imperial capital. Long Chen, don't offend him." O Yanghong was the manager of the Oceanic Sky Trading Company. Alchemist Lu had a high status. If he was offended by someone in the Oceanic Sky Trading Company, it would be difficult for him to not feel embarrassed. Moreover, he and Long Tianxing were old acquaintances. He didn't want Long Chen to cause trouble for the Long family because of this. The surrounding people immediately showed expressions of reverence. They all bowed to Alchemist Lu, a spirit-tier alchemist from the imperial capital. It was very likely that he would become a Grandmaster alchemist. Once an alchemist could refine a pill that surpassed the spirit tier, they would be conferred the title of Grandmaster by the Alchemist Guild after passing all kinds of tests. Even the ruler of a country would have to be courteous to them. Such a person would be second only to one person wherever they went. Long Chen waved his hand and said indifferently, "I don't care. In any case, Lin Feiyu's life and death have nothing to do with me." Long Chen stared deeply at Lin Feiyu and said casually. The surrounding people immediately went into an uproar. What did Long Chen mean by this? Could it be that Lin Feiyu would die after eating this pill? Could it be that this pill was poison? You, a teenager, dared to frame an alchemist from the imperial capital. Impudent! Long Chen, if it wasn't for the fact that my body was unwell today, you would have lost without a doubt. I didn't notice the cold and gloomy energy, so it has nothing to do with Alchemist Lu. Alchemist Lu has a close relationship with the Lin clan. Why would he poison me? Lin Feiyu's pale face suddenly became angry. Alchemist Lu was extremely important to the Lin clan. If it wasn't for the fact that his father had helped him before Alchemist Lu entered the imperial capital, this kind of person was not someone the Lin clan could curry favor with. Li Su even stood out and said with disdain, "You only knew about the cold and gloomy energy in Lin Feiyu's body beforehand. How dare you talk back to Alchemist Lu? Do you know anything about alchemy? Do you know what alchemy is?" Lin Feng didn't say anything. He turned around and signaled Qing Xian to put away the bets on the side of the stage. He had already said what he wanted to say. Whether or not Lin Feiyu took the pill had nothing to do with him. Wait. Just as Lin Feng was about to leave, Alchemist Lu thought about how Long Chen could see that the gloomy energy in Lin Feiyu's chest clashed with the fierce flame pill, causing the heart to be blocked. Just his eyesight alone was not something a normal person could compare with. Furthermore, the fierce flame pill clashed with the gloomy energy, which affected the heart. To be able to say all this, it meant that this kid in front of him didn't come out of nowhere. He must have some understanding of alchemy. Long Chen paused for a moment. Alchemist Lu casually threw the meridian solidifying pill to Long Chen and asked casually, "Why don't you tell me what's wrong with this pill? Why would nephew Lin lose his life if he ate it?" Long Chen caught the pill with 2 fingers. His divine sense instantly enveloped the pill. After a while, he said to the old man, "This pill is called the meridian solidifying pill. It's made from 5 types of spiritual medicine and 3 types of strange stones. The pill is brown and has a faint fishy smell. Although this pill's rank isn't high, it's definitely a top-grade pill. It has the effect of consolidating martial veins under the spiritual martial realm, promoting cultivation and increasing strength. It's been refined for a total of 23 times and took 10 hours. Long Chen's voice was neither fast nor slow. However, the people around him were stunned. Alchemist Lu's expression became more and more surprised. When Long Chen finished speaking, there was even a hint of shock in his eyes. The meridian solidifying pill was an ordinary mortal level pill. Basically, every alchemist knew how to refine it. However, everyone's refining method was different. Under normal circumstances, the meridian solidifying pill would only be refined for 23 times. Only he had refined it for 23 times. How did Long Chen know about this? Chapter 18. I want to refine pills. The duel arena was very strange today. The originally noisy environment was unusually quiet. There was no one fighting on the 3 stages. Instead, they were all looking at the empty space in the middle. In the middle of the empty space was the Long family's young master, the Lin family's second young master, and a spirit-level alchemist from the capital. Looking at Alchemist Lu's shocked expression, everyone felt as if they had swallowed a mouthful of dirt. Could it be that Long Chen's strange words were correct? The trash young master of the Long family that everyone in Iron Mountain City talked about was actually an alchemist? Lin Feiyu couldn't help but ask, "That's right. Since you also said that this pill is a high-grade pill, why would my life be in danger?" Before Long Chen could say anything, Qing Xian couldn't listen anymore. He walked up and said angrily, "If you don't believe my young master's words, then why are you asking? Just eat the pill. No one begs for help like you." Long Chen felt that Qing Xian's words made sense. He casually threw the pill into Lin Feiyu's arms and said indifferently, "If you don't believe me, then eat it. I don't have time to explain it to you here." Long Chen looked at Ouyang Hong and asked, "Your Sea Sky Trading Company has an alchemy room, right? I want to borrow it for a while." Ouyang Hong, who had been silent all this time, was stunned. She subconsciously replied, "What did you say? Alchemy room? What are you going to do in the alchemy room?" "What else can I do in the alchemy room? I have so many spiritual herbs here. Naturally, it's to refine pills. Also, Lin Feiyu, before you die, remember to give me the spiritual herbs and silver that you just lost to me." Lin Feiyu was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Li Su didn't know what to say for a moment. He secretly thought that Lin Feiyu was useless. He couldn't even defeat Long Chen, this trash, in one hit. Ouyang Hong was stunned for a moment. She once again confirmed with Long Chen, "You're saying that you want to refine these spiritual herbs into pills?" For a moment, Ouyang Hong completely lost her temper. In the entire Iron Mountain City, let alone an alchemist like Alchemist Lu, there wasn't even an ordinary mortal tier alchemist. Therefore, most people relied on directly consuming spirit herbs to cultivate. Long Chen, the well-known young master of the Long family, could it be that he was an alchemist? I do want to give it a try. Long Chen looked at the spirit herbs beside him and recalled the elixir legacy he had obtained in his mind. Finally, he nodded his head. Give it a try? The surrounding people roared with laughter. Even Alchemist Lu, who was originally somewhat curious about him, shook his head and laughed. He secretly thought that Long Chen was just trying to please the crowd with claptrap. He actually almost fell for it. There were no alchemists in the entire Iron Mountain city, so how did Long Chen learn alchemy? Most likely, the so-called borrowing the alchemy room was nothing more than a boast to deceive everyone. 100 meters ahead of the second floor's grandstand is the alchemy room. If you can't refine a pill, the fee is 2,000 silver taels a day. Of course, if you can refine a pill, I won't charge you a single cent. Oh, Yang Hong laughed involuntarily. She waved her hand and signaled Long Chen to go by himself. Long Chen was too lazy to explain to the crowd. He took Qing Xian and walked straight to the second floor. Behind him came a burst of booing. Lin Feiyu swallowed the pulse-solidifying pill in one gulp. He shouted at Long Chen from afar, "You're lucky today. If I see you at the Three Cities tournament, I'll return today's shame double." Three Cities tournament? Lin Feiyu was at the 7th level of the mortal martial realm. Long Chen didn't take him seriously. Does this Long Chen think that he can get the title of an alchemist just like this? To become an alchemist, one must at least pass the test of the Alchemist Guild. Does he want to deceive everyone and get a respected status? Lin Feiyu swallowed the pill. I don't see any problems. Let's all go. This Long Chen may have obtained some opportunities in the land of inheritance. However, at his current age, he is still at the bottom of the younger generation. Once he meets the core disciples who are participating in the Three Cities tournament, his martial arts are not enough. While everyone was discussing, Lin Feiyu and Li Su followed alchemist Lu and O Yanghong into the interior of the Haitian Trade Association. Meanwhile, the duel arena was once again filled with noise. However, Long Chen's token had already been removed. Outside the alchemy room, Qing Xian saw the 5 people around. She gently pulled Long Chen's clothes and whispered, "Young master, there's no one here. Let's quickly slip away from the back door." Long Chen was stunned. He rubbed Qing Xian's hair and said with a smile, "Why should we slip away? Don't you trust your young master?" Qing Xian quickly shook her head, but her face was still full of doubts. However, she could not be blamed. After all, she was with Long Chen every day. How could Long Chen know anything about alchemy? Not to mention that the entire Long family did not even have a mortal-level alchemist. Wait for me outside. This is the Haitian commerce, so there shouldn't be any danger. You'll know later if your young master knows alchemy or not. Long Chen smiled and walked into the alchemy room. Qing Xian nodded and sat down in the waiting room outside the alchemy room. In the alchemy room, Long Chen's mind was rapidly flipping through the alchemy inheritance. Countless alchemy knowledge and alchemy experience were constantly replaying, as if he was experiencing it himself. Heaven-seizing Pill Monarch, the guy who was once called the #1 genius in the 10 Directions celestial domain in 10,000 years, is actually the ancestor of the Li family. Fate really makes fools of people. In this world, no one can surpass him in alchemy. The sky gradually darkened, and the stars gradually appeared. Li Su had been waiting for 20 hours at the corner of the deserted street between the Haitian commerce and the Long family. Why hasn't this guy come out yet? Li Su had been hiding for so long, and he was getting impatient. Young master, don't be impatient. He wants to return to the Long family, so this is the only way. Now that the sky is dark, it would be better if he passes by here later. When he leaves, no one will know who killed him. Someone is coming, hide. It was a man and a woman. They were Li Su and Lin Feiyu. Li Su held Lin Fei Yu's shoulder and pretended to be angry. We were disturbed by that trash during the day. Brother Fei Yu, if you meet the Lin family's disciples in the grand competition of the 3 cities, you must teach them a lesson. Don't worry, this Long Chen is indeed a little different from before. If he doesn't participate in the grand competition of the 3 cities, then it's fine. If he does, then I will make sure he can't get out of bed for 1 or 2 years. Lin Fei Yu thought about how he sent a pile of elixirs and money to the outside of the alchemy room a few hours ago, and his heart ached. Because of this, he was afraid that he would be punished by the family when he returned today, especially when he lost to Long Chen. Sister Li Su, look, it's already dark, don't. Lin Fei Yu's face was a little red, but he couldn't say anything. Then, he felt a piercing pain in his chest. Poochie! A mouthful of blood was spat on Li Su's face. Ah! Li Su screamed subconsciously. Then, she saw Lin Fei Yu, who was fine a moment ago, fall to the ground. He could only breathe in but not out. Save me! Lin Fei Yu grabbed Li Su's skirt tightly. Find Alchemist Lu. Chapter 19. His life is coming soon. In Haitian Trading Company, Yang Hong and Alchemist Lu were sitting in the main hall. Alchemist Lu, I'm sorry for offending you. That Long Chen was originally a good-for-nothing. After Lin Fei Yu took the meridian solidifying pill, his injuries were instantly healed. There's no problem at all. Haitian Trading Company has neglected our duties today. Yang Hong used tea in place of wine, and raised her cup apologetically. Alchemist Lu smiled and drank his cup as well. He waved his hand and said, It's fine. Young people care too much about fame and fortune. It's understandable for them to have crooked thoughts. Alchemist Lu really has the demeanor of a master. In the future, you will definitely become a Grandmaster Alchemist and serve the Empire. When Alchemist Lu heard the 2 words Grandmaster, his face immediately turned red. He seemed to enjoy the compliment. However, before he could be modest, an anxious cry came from outside the door. Alchemist Lu, save me! Alchemist Lu, save me! Li Su's sharp voice came from outside the door. She, who was originally wearing a qipao, was now in a sorry state. She was carrying Lin Fei Yu with her back covered in blood. Clack, clack, clack. Li Su had just entered the main hall. The moment Alchemist Lu saw Lin Fei Yu, the teacup in his hand slipped and fell to the ground. It shattered into pieces and tea splashed everywhere. At this moment, for some reason, Long Chen's words during the day echoed in his mind. Could it be that he was right? Alchemist Lu quickly walked over and pressed his right hand on Lin Fei Yu's pulse. After a dozen breaths, he said in a low voice, His heart is about to break. He won't live for long. Alchemist Lu's face turned pale. For a moment, he didn't know what to do. He didn't even know why Lin Fei Yu was like this. Li Su and Yang Hong gasped when they heard this. They saw a hint of shock in each other's eyes. Wasn't this situation just like what Long Chen said during the day? Could it be that Long Chen really knew alchemy and knew that Lin Fei Yu would end up like this after taking the meridian solidifying pill? Just as the 2 were stunned, they heard Alchemist Lu shout, What are you still standing here for? Hurry up and save him. Save him? How? Li Su and Yang Hong were stunned. They thought, if even a spirit-level Alchemist Lu, what can we do? What are you waiting for? Carry him to Long Chen's pill concoction room. If he really saw through this long ago, then he definitely has a way to save Fei Yu. Alchemist Lu's expression was as ugly as it could get. So many people had heard Long Chen's words during the day. If Lin Fei Yu died now, wouldn't that mean that he, Alchemist Lu, had killed him? Looking for Long Chen? Their brains completely short-circuited. Could it be that Long Chen could really save Lin Fei Yu? Even though they recalled what Long Chen had said during the day, the 2 of them still couldn't help but shake their heads. A person that even a spirit-grade alchemist couldn't save was actually sent to Iron Mountain City's infamous waste for treatment. Wasn't this just a desperate situation? However, when they saw Alchemist Lu's gloomy face, the two of them did not dare to hesitate at all. They immediately carried Lin Feiyu and ran toward the alchemy room. In just a few dozen breaths, everyone had gathered at the entrance of the alchemy room. Qing Xian's delicate face was filled with shock. When she saw Lin Feiyu lying on the ground and almost not breathing, she immediately covered her mouth. She felt that her young master was simply a living immortal. Yanghong saw that Qing Xian was stunned, so she quickly walked up and urged, "Little girl, quickly go and ask your young master to come out and see if Lin Feiyu can still be saved." Seeing that Lin Feiyu was about to die, Alchemist Lu's right hand flashed, and another pill appeared in his hand. He was about to help Lin Feiyu swallow it. "Wait!" At this moment, Qing Xian reached out and stopped him. She said, "My young master said that if Lin Feiyu arrives, leave him outside the door. When he finishes concocting the pill, he will naturally come out to save him. During this time, if Alchemist Lu feeds him another pill, then his life and death will have nothing to do with my young master." Alchemist Lu's hand froze in the air. This scene was so familiar, but now it was said by a maid. For some reason, he could not put the pill in his hand down. If he really caused Lin Feiyu to die because of him, then he would feel guilty for the rest of his life. Yanghong could not help but ask Qing Xian, "You and your young master are together every day. Have you ever seen him practice alchemy?" "No." "Then have you ever seen him become the disciple of a knowledgeable old man, or become friends with an alchemist?" "I have also never seen him." Qing Xian's answer made everyone speechless. Yanghong said helplessly, "Alchemist Lu, quickly give him the pill. Otherwise, he will die immediately." At this moment, everyone in the surroundings did not even dare to breathe loudly. However, their hearts were in chaos. Did Alchemist Lu really think that the trash from the Long clan could save someone? Li Su, who was at the side, could not help but stare at Qing Xian and the alchemy room behind her. Her voice was cold as she said, "During the day, Long Chen said that Big Brother Feiyu's life was in danger. However, Alchemist Lu's pill clearly cured Feiyu. Now, Feiyu is suddenly on the verge of death. Perhaps someone did it secretly. If Alchemist Lu made a move and failed to save Feiyu, then he would say that Alchemist Lu did not listen to his words and caused Feiyu's death. Now that he is in seclusion, I'm afraid he wants to wait for Feiyu to die so that there will be no evidence." Li Su's voice was sharp. Standing in front of everyone, her graceful figure moved gracefully. However, every word she said was heart-wrenching. She wanted to consign Long Chun to eternal damnation. At this moment, Alchemist Lu's right hand was still frozen in the air. That pill was less than half an inch away from Lin Feiyu's lip. His hand was full of sweat because he knew that this pill would not be able to save Lin Feiyu. At most, it would only delay his death. Caw. At this moment, the door of the alchemist room slowly opened. A cloud of black smoke rushed out. It was like a boiler room. In an instant, everyone's eyes fell on Long Chun like spotlights. Long Chun walked out of the room with 3 pill bottles in his arms. His face was covered in dirt. Did the furnace explode? When Alchemist Lu saw this scene, his face instantly darkened. A furnace explosion was a problem that would only happen when a first-time alchemist used the furnace fire for the first time. Could it be that the young man in front of him really did use unorthodox methods like the girl said? Did he want to gain fame like this? At this moment, Long Chun glanced at him and said with a playful smile, "Why didn't you give him the second pill? If you give him the second pill, you can watch him die with your own eyes." Alchemist Lu's body trembled. He stared at Lin Feiyu, who was on the verge of death. In the end, he put away the pill in his hand and asked, "Can you really save him?" You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.